Just like, just intro it and then you guys.
Yeah. Ear.
Clap.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, like who's.
Yo. See ya. Yo, what's good? Who are we with right now?
I guess I introduce myself.
Listen,
Hi guys.
we're not that bougie. Like we don't
Okay.
introduce you. You introduce yourself.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So what do I? Okay, my name's Anna Flores.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here.
Is it really?
No,
We're so
for real.
honored. To
No,
have
I'm
you.
honored because there was I think it was the first week of school. You
Yeah.
came up to me
Yeah.
and we were outside Lakeview Hall. And you said
Yeah.
we're starting a podcast
Yeah.
called Under the Maple.
Yeah.
And then I think I cut you off right away, and I was like, "That's so cool."
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Can you be a guest?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, whenever." And
I was-
then
yeah.
you guys were quick with it because I mean it's only second month of school and I'm already on here.
True.
So thank you.
But the thing is, like, the reason it came up so quick is because, like, we shared a passion, and it was just like, okay, like, I have this resource, I have this resource, I have this resource, and then we put them all together, and it was like, we can literally do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, I have the audio equipment, he just bought a camera, and then, like, we had 2 cameras already.
Yeah.
Thank you to the donators. that
Sponsors,
donated.
shout out to you.
Yo,
You know who you are.
I wouldn't be sitting here right now, like,
Yeah.
literally, because
Physically.
this was given to us.
Oh.
Man,
Holy
the Holy
Spirit. Holy
Spirit just
Spirit is in
entered the room.
Movements. Oh, the
Wow.
door.
No, and I like that you guys started right away because
Yeah.
a lot of times for people making content, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to put out something that is super high quality first.
Yeah.
But something I saw online was that quantity leads to quality.
Yeah.
So just start putting things out there,
Yeah.
and sooner or later, it's going to be high quality.
Yeah.
And I mean, the content that you produce is not so much for the visuals, but
Yeah.
it's the discussion and the conversation.
Yeah.
So that's the important part, right?
I really agree with you. You know how most of the time I saw stat where I think 60-70% of podcasts that start don't pass the 3rd episode.
Wow.
So this being our 4th episode,
You have passed
We've
the
passed
threshold. Yeah.
Let's go.
and funny thing is, I think only 10% of podcasts pass the 21st episode or something like that.
Wow.
So we have a goal of making as much as we can. And at the end of the day, as you said, we kind of sat down and said, is this podcast going to change our lives? Like literally in other ways?
Yeah.
Not really. How can it contribute to us? Like when I was thinking about it though, and when I talked to you guys, it was just about the other intangibles that we could bring through the podcast. So we're like, we just have to do it. And if we don't do it now, there's no other incentive except for our initiative right now.
Yeah.
So you have to act on that. If there's a monetary aspect to it, which would actually change our lives, even if it took time, it would start at some point, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so glad when I saw you were back, and I was so happy to talk to you about that. Yeah, and I think this is a very good place to start because I want to take you back to August of 2021, right? And I think the end of our first week, you made a speech at the church for us, the freshmen.
Mhm.
And
opening convocation.
yeah,
That was
convocation.
Oh my goodness, I wrote
Yeah.
that
And
the night before.
the night before.
Yeah, see,
Yay.
you didn't have to say that. 'cause now
It's
Hey,
exposed.
now you know. Now you know.
All
And
right.
I think I saw, before you made the speech, I met you by the cafe or something, and I think you were sleep deprived or something. But you were
First
like,
week? The first
yeah,
week.
you were
Oh
like,
my goodness.
I could remember you having like a suit coat and being nice, about it. But you had a speech, and I was the whole time thinking, oh, this is so cool. She's like our president and everything. I wanted to bring this up because I feel like you were a big part of our freshman year as a student body president. And, you're from the president's quarter messages or the videos you made or the part you played. So that was my first introduction to who Anna Flores is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how's your Burman experience been like? And what are your memories pre or 1 year hiatus from Burman?
Okay, that's a good question.
Let's
Yeah.
unpack.
So I came to Burman in 2019.
Yeah.
That feels like a lifetime ago, but it also feels like it was just yesterday.
Yesterday.
I just feel like with COVID, everything, especially time-wise,
Yeah.
seems morphed and all merged together.
Yeah.
So my freshman year, feels a lot like how my fourth year feels like right now, actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
So freshman year, just coming in, meeting new people, I had the mindset from my first day on campus. I said, I'm going to talk to every single one of my classmates at QQuest.
Yeah.
That's dedication.
So that was a goal that I had.
Yeah.
I just feel like coming from Kingsway, which is in Ontario, and that's the high school that I went to.
Yeah.
I had a solid group of friends, and I began getting comfortable. And it always goes through that phase, right? You start through elementary, you get to grade 8, you feel, wow, I'm on top of the school.
Yeah.
I run this place,
Yeah.
I rule this place.
Yeah.
Then you're a freshman again
Yeah.
in high school, and you're
Yeah,
like,
that's
wow,
beautiful.
I am back at the bottom of the food chain.
Yeah.
And then you make your way to senior year, and you're like, I run this school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, you get to university, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I am a freshman,
Yeah.
and these upperclassmen are so intimidating.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that's how I was feeling my freshman year. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, there are so many cool people to look up to.
Yeah.
Like Romando was
Yeah.
at Burman. Like he was a schoolmate
yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
But now he's like, big chaplain
Romando.
at PAA,
Yeah.
Ubuntu leader,
Yeah.
everything. And then have you guys heard of Ryan McNulty?
Yeah.
I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think.
Great guy too.
He was like the president for Busa or something?
Yeah, he was the SA president when I was social vice president.
I see.
Yeah,
Oh.
and then there was other people like Phil, Bob, Christelle LaBelle, tons of people that I worked with on SA as well.
I
And
see.
it was just really cool to see so many upperclassmen being active.
Yeah.
And so that really encouraged me my freshman year to get involved.
Yeah.
Throughout grade 11 and 12 of high school, I had a passion already for student politics.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think
Okay.
that's what made me want to continue doing student politics coming to Burman. So like you said, how as freshmen, those initial conversations that you have on campus with upperclassmen,
Yeah.
they really make or break your
Experience.
experience, right? And it really empowers you to want to become the best version of yourself. So I remember at my QQuest, Romando came and sat with me at a meal. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is so stressful. He's like the executive vice president. I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. And then within one conversation, he already said I don't remember his exact words, but he said, I see potential in you.
Ooh.
And for someone like
That's so
Romando
true.
to tell that to me,
Yeah.
I was like, how was he able to pick that from
Yeah.
one conversation?
Yeah.
I said, he has to be lying. There's no way that he could pick that up.
Yeah.
But now for me being an upperclassman and
Yeah.
me seeing freshmen,
Yeah.
I see what he saw.
Yeah.
Because even from just minor encounters that
Yeah.
I have with younger students on campus,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, they have potential for something
Yes.
great.
Yes.
And that's what really pushed me to want to continue in student politics. So I was on Senate, and then SA my second year, SA third year. And then this year I am big chillin'.
Yeah.
But I still want to be active. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm still in Ubuntu,
Yeah.
but I'm working 2 jobs now.
Yeah.
So that takes a lot of time. But yeah, that's a little bit about how my freshman year and the 2 prior years went. It's just,
I really want to credit you on something though, where you said you kind of fed off that energy, right, from the leaders, the positivity you felt, and you kind of built that on. I really love how open you are about, like, I just love how the conversation is starting already. But I don't know if you remember this, but our freshman year, we had this Saruk leadership, right? We'd go on Sundays, and you were part of it too.
yeah.
And I remember one day making a speech or something, or answering something. And I don't know how we met, but we're talking, and you said exactly the same thing Romando said. You were like, I really think you have something, you know? I just remembered it when you said right now. You remember? Like, and we were at the home, Memorial Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I could relate to that even if I'm just a third year. Even being a second year, I saw some freshmen that came on campus that I talked to. I said, hey, by the time you leave Burman, people are gonna be like, whoa, we missed this guy, right?
Yeah.
So please don't hold up, just use your potential and stuff like that. Talking about student politics, so then how was that leadership role, like Busa being a leader, being part of the team? How was it?
Yeah, so my first major role on campus was freshman senator. So my freshman year, Romando did hiring process for Senate during the school year. So normally now they hire before the next school year, but in that case, he hired a lot of freshmen. I think half or more of the Senate team, my freshman year, were freshmen.
Wow.
So that really built up student leaders from my class. That one was really cool. He kind of made us all mini social vice presidents, because every senator, based on what department or area on campus you were in charge of, you had to do events for that department.
As a
So
senate.
have you guys heard of like preach-off? I think they had
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so that was like
Yeah.
religious senator.
Uh-huh.
For me, I was a freshman senator, so I had this thing called Fresh House, which was like an open mic night, cafe, jazz type vibes.
Yeah.
And then it was like a mini talent show. So
I
it just
see.
like brought people together, and
Okay.
the freshmen were the ones that put it on.
Yeah.
So it was like talent show, but just freshmen.
I see.
Yeah, so that was something that got me into student politics. The next year, my second year, people were already telling me as a freshman, like, oh, you should run for SA. And I was like, oh, no. I'm
Yeah.
like,
What?
I'm not ready for that, right?
Uh-huh.
And everyone that was on SA that year I was a freshman were juniors and seniors. So I was like, that never happens, like someone
Yeah.
to be a sophomore and be in SA, like it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
But then once again, like upperclassmen just telling you that they believe in you,
Yeah.
it just empowers you so much. And so I ran for social vice president.
Yeah.
No one ran against anyone that year. So it was like, it was just like everyone
That
ran
ran.
against themselves, which is also pretty hard too, because you're always trying to one up yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like, okay, what's the best way that I can market myself and talk to people and campaign? So during my first year actually campaigning for second year, I actually had to go up to students and talk to them and be like, hey, here's some reasons why you should vote for me. And a lot of people were like, yeah, I'll vote for you. But then there were some like intense upperclassmen that would say, okay, so what are your plans?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do differently? And then you had to be ready.
Yeah.
You had to have those answers
Yeah.
prepped,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that was really cool too, to be able to do that in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then second year came around and, COVID hit end of my freshman year.
Yeah.
So doing online events was something so interesting.
You guys did online events?
No, it went crazy. Like our banquet freshman year was online. It was on Zoom, and
Were
we
there
all had
people
these
who actually?
people pulled up. Yeah, like we did.
Oh my days.
I don't remember. I think it was Starry Night or something.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
On
Actually,
Zoom?
I don't remember the exact theme my freshman year, but Alessandro and Kappa were the MCs,
Okay.
and they told everyone to have champagne glasses with like Welch juice or
Yeah.
sparkling apple juice, and then we all just cheersed on our screen,
Screens.
and I was like, oh wow, this is fun, but it was memorable,
Yeah.
It's different, but it's kind of iconic now, right? And we did the same thing
I
my
heard there
sophomore
was
year.
even a concert online. Like the choir had a concert online.
Yeah, that's true.
How
Yeah.
do you have a
Oh, man.
concert?
We filmed
We
it.
had to film ourselves with an audio track and then just combine everything.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like all lined up.
So y'all just like recorded everything and then y'all just synced
Crazy.
it?
Yeah. So it would be stuff like that. Even, Money Dive.
Money dive?
No way.
Yeah,
I
the
did that
water.
online. But okay,
Oh.
so it was like, I did a sheet with questions about water. So yeah, it sounds,
Oh,
it
man.
sounds so ghetto,
Is
but
water
like
wet?
tons of people actually
Actually cute?
participated. Yeah. And it would be like random facts, and then some of it would be like, okay, look in your faces book for this person. So it's like a scavenger hunt in your house
I
and stuff
see.
like that. So it still got students involved in participating, and you had to be creative. Definitely an interesting year to
Oh,
be
man.
social vice president,
Yeah.
but I still learned a lot from it.
From that year.
And once again, it's iconic now.
I'm just
Mm.
thinking about like people that their Wi-Fi are like slower. So like,
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, I know. So rough. Actually, our banquet second year,
Yeah.
so that was the one I planned. It was a masquerade. And we had been putting out the Zoom link and the Zoom info on our social media platforms for like a month.
Yeah.
So I guess someone wanted to hack it or mess with the system, because we went into the Zoom and it kept kicking us out. And I was big stressing, right? So
Yeah.
like the essay group chat was blowing up, and everyone's like, it's okay, calm down, you're gonna be okay, we're gonna figure this out. So then we got IT involved, and they're like, in like every Disney movie where they're like, I'm breaking past the firewall, and I'm like, okay, we're
Alex
in.
Roca.
Like, it was like that, yeah. So then we got IT up in there, and they just locked it. They're like, okay, Burman students, get in the next call, because it kicked us out probably 5 times
Wow.
oh.
in the middle
That's so
of
peak,
our
though.
online banquet. Yeah.
Bro, was it in
Oh.
April, the banquet? Or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah. It was end of the month.
How
or
cool would
March.
it be if the banquet was on April 1 and that person actually like thought of it and said, it would be so cool to like prank people on April 1st.
I don't remember the exact date, but I don't think it was the
But, yeah.
first.
Probably just malintent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's trying to mess with the online banquet?
No, but that's so foul though. It's like it's like
Yeah.
it only happens, and y'all been like for a whole month like promoting it and everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question because like something you said really like stuck out to me. You were talking about like how Romando came up to you, right? And he was like, I see potential. But you mentioned now that like you feel that and you can do that. What do you think? Because obviously, or most probably, it was like your stay at Burman that made you grow up in a sense that now you could notice and realize things. So what in your Burman journey do you think really allowed you to perceive things and to like have a better understanding of a person and see potential?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when you see potential in someone else is when you see a little bit of yourself. And when you see a little bit of yourself in someone else, you recognize that because it's like looking in a mirror, right? You recognize something that's familiar to you, something that's comfortable to you. You know what your struggles are, what your strengths are. So when you see another student that's like you, struggling or that has gone through something similar that you did in the past and see how they're resilient through it, you know that they can come out stronger because you did as well, right? So I think that's what I'm starting to see in some freshmen and even some like second year, third years.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be more intentional this year about
fourth year.
Yeah, about speaking more with students, mentoring. I'm actually mentoring someone right now, which is really, really cool.
Like life tutoring or like
a business major that's
they're also a business major and they don't go to this school, they go to Red Deer.
Okay.
I was connected with them through Saruk.
Saruk.
So I'm mentoring someone right now, which is really, really cool because I was mentored by people that were just like 2 years older than me, and I think we can also break the stereotype that you can be mentored by someone that's younger than you. I wonder what that would look like, but I think we could start doing that as well.
Well,
and okay, another thing that I want to ask, I mean, on that thought that like you can be mentored, like there's a negative stereotype of like, oh, you know, you have to be mentored by like someone who's really old, who has lots of experience. And like when I saw you pull up, like I was looking at the Saruk thing, right? And I'm like, what? Okay, she out here, like she's speaking, you know? And then I pulled up and like, you're like super serious. And like, it had been a while since I hadn't seen you, right? And then like you're all proper, like I mean you were wearing like basically that, but even more, right? Okay. And then the same night, you're like, let's do it for the one time, like let's go, you know? And like,
let's talk about it.
It's funny because it's like a very two-sided. You're a very two-sided person in my opinion, where you can be so serious and so proper, yet so fun and so like, I don't want to say fruity, like. How do you
fruity?
No, colorful.
Like I think that thank you. I appreciate that.
So how do you do that, like
turning the switch on?
How do you balance that?
And how did it come to be as well?
Okay, that's a tough one actually. I would say my serious side was more of who I was growing up.
Ooh.
Like in high school, just because I grew up in a very small community, when like you're in a small Adventist community and your family's super active in church and everyone knows you, it was like, so my dad's name is Finney, and at church everyone would be like, oh, that's Finney's daughter, that's Arlene's daughter. She like grew up in the church, plays the violin, sings in the choirs, plays piano, all this XYZ, focused in school, does theory, does all the typical things that every Asian kid does, that type of stuff, right? Like does the grades, extracurricular, student association. And I think because I had not pressure, but because everyone knew me to be a certain way, I felt like I had to keep that persona.
Oh, the social pressures.
It was a lot of social pressure that I didn't realize I had until coming to Burman, where I was like, nobody knows me here.
Could start
like in a sense, like I could bring that credibility that I had built through high school, bring that into Burman, but then also lay back a little and say I can have fun. And I would say I'm a person that loves to have fun. But I know when to grind. That's the thing, right? It's like if I have things I have to get done, I don't like to procrastinate. Like if I get an assignment or if I have a test coming up, I want to study for it.
Okay.
And even now, like I'm only taking 3 classes this semester,
Yeah.
which is a lot lighter than the 5.
Yeah.
So normally I only study for midterms or tests like 2 days before because of how busy the schedule gets.
Yeah.
This past midterm I studied a week before, and I was like, what is
What's
this? I'm
happening?
not used to
Let's
this,
go.
right? But when I don't have as pressing responsibilities, I still like to have fun. And I feel like by having fun, you also become relatable to people. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine that
You
night
can,
at Saruk
yeah.
if I just spoke and then went to my hotel room and said, okay, good night, guys. Have fun.
Yeah.
It would make me seem as if I was better than you guys in
Yeah.
a way. Like, okay, she spoke. Even though she's one of us, she's not actually one of us.
Uh-huh.
But it's like,
She's
no,
only like one of
I'm
your
literally
other-
I'm like everybody in the room.
Yeah.
The only difference is that I spoke, but
Yeah.
everyone has experiences that they can share.
Yeah.
Mine is just that I got the opportunity to share it
Yeah.
up front. That was
Okay.
the only difference. Yeah.
Anna, so when you came to Burman, you just got into student politics. You've
Mhm.
done a lot of things. Even now, you did the training. You kind of like try a lot of new things, and you challenge yourself constantly, right?
Mhm.
So people have a hard time dealing with people like you. Let's say, like there's some people who would basically be like, "She's a freshman. Why is she doing this?" You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Uh-huh.
Or when you try to be a president, just like the seniors that asked you genuine questions. Like last year when people were running, I was sitting down in the caf. I wanted to ask them questions, right? I wanted to just give them
Yeah.
a hard time, just
Yeah,
for fun,
yeah.
right?
I mean,
But
when you're in the
it wa-
audience, you're like,
yeah.
let's stir the pot a little bit.
But
Yeah,
it's not from like a bad intent. Like I
No.
was not mad that they're doing it. I'm happy for them. But that there's that side, and there's another side of people just not, being comfortable around you being a grinder or trying to achieve things. How do you deal with that? Like how did you deal with people who came to you being a president and say, hey, Anna, this was done this way. Why are you trying to do this way? And I used to get stressed a lot when you were in the job because you had to do class in that.
Yeah.
And you used to carry all these, different responsibilities. So
Yeah.
how do you deal with people who don't understand you as a person? Maybe you trying to have fun later on could, in their mind, not make sense,
Yeah.
with that person they want to picture. Yeah.
Okay, I kind of see what you're saying. So it's like, with me being on essay in the past and then now not being in it, like how.
When you were in the essay.
When I was on
or
essay.
When you do all
Okay.
these things that a student is not supposed to do. Like, not supposed to do in a sense. Like you're a mentor, right?
Yeah.
So how many mentor students do I know? Not a lot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
So you're pushing the envelope in a way. You're
Yeah.
trying to do something with your abilities, right?
Mhm.
And that could get a bit,
Yeah.
friction.
Yeah.
It could create friction between friends that are your friends at your same age,
Yeah.
right? Or like your other people who are not even your friends, just your
Mhm.
acquaintances. How did you deal with people? What was your trick, or what was your not trick, but how do you deal with people in
Your
general?
thought
Because you're
process.
good at dealing with people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things is I'm constantly trying to become the best version of myself, right? Like, you're never going to reach that point where you're, I'd say, completely satisfied
Yeah.
in yourself. And yes, we're always like 100% enough in Christ, right?
Yeah.
But while we're still on this earth,
Yeah.
like constantly strive to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what really pushed me, because running for SA president during my second year going into third year,
Yeah.
like the rest of the team was graduating.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think the reason why I also did it is because I felt like I had a responsibility,
Yeah.
because I was the only underclassman on essay, right?
I
So
see.
everyone else was fourth year.
Yeah.
I was the only sophomore on the team. And I thought,
Yeah.
you know what? I have this responsibility. It would be a disservice to the school and a disservice to me if I were not take this opportunity.
Yeah.
And obviously with everything in prayer, right? So I think when you do get that negative feedback of people saying like, oh, why are you trying to push boundaries? Or why are you trying to be in someone else's lane? Like, this is your lane.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay to push those barriers
Yeah.
and to do something differently. And as long as you're partnered with God
Yeah.
and you're not hurting people
Yeah.
in the process,
Yeah.
then it's okay.
True.
Right? Because at the end of the day, it's your growth that matters.
Yeah.
And obviously you don't want to be an opportunist where you use other people to get to that point, but you want to bring people with you.
With you.
So
journey.
seek other people of the same mindset. And
Yeah.
I think that's also the biggest thing. Like, we can't be too comfortable in our own space and maybe our tight friend groups, because I can relate to that too, where I got really comfortable because, you know, once you find the people you get along with, you're like, why do I need to expand my circle? But there's always something to learn from other people. So when you get that negative feedback, think of it, okay, how can I take that and use it to grow? Instead of, oh, they're just coming for me. Right? No. There's always going to be haters, as they say.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah, but what can you do? Like, as long as you're doing everything within your power to, you know, help them out, help yourself out, then you're doing everything you can. And once again, with the idea of, you know, reaching out to more people around you to seek that advice. It's important. Like, don't just wait for people to give you the feedback. Constantly seek it as well.
Feedback.
Be proactive about the feedback that you get from people.
I love how you said, even if we're enough in Christ, we're constantly called to strive for the better, right? Like, I'm a very big proponent of that. I'm constantly like unsettled with where I am, and I know it could have some negative negative impacts in my life if I'm not settled in a general sense, but striving to your potential, because at the end of the day, people would think a certain way of you. Like Anna, the only thing that's the same with Anna from grade 4 and Anna now, it probably is your name and some of your traits from how you were raised, right? But people grow and change. Your name stays the same. People think of you the same. But I think no matter what people think, it's always necessary to, it's not even like, if you want to survive, I think change and constant, you know, work on yourself as a person is necessary. That's why, in the same sense, like finishing up your third year, our freshman year, you decide to then take a year off to go to Hawaii, right? I think it was some prayer meeting or something. The first time I heard it, it was in Lakeview, and we were in the chapel, and I think that's when I heard it from you. How did you decide to do that, and how was it to take like a year off?
So I love traveling and going on trips, doing mission work. I did a couple mission trips in high school, and coming to Burman, I always had that mindset of, you know, I think I mentioned this at Saruk too, as some lessons I've learned, but I always thought I would go to Burman, do the 4 years, get my CPA, which is the certified public accountant test and everything, and then start my career, start a family, boom, boom, boom. Like, I was a planner. I would still say I am a planner, but I'm more of an adaptive planner now, right? Like, I realize things are always changing, and you can't be
Are we
too
coining it to you? Adaptive planner?
Have
you heard it somewhere else?
I have not.
I haven't.
I just pulled that out. I don't know where that one came from, but it came out.
Adaptive planner. Oh, nice.
So then I was talking to someone here at Burman, and she was telling me how she did ACA, so Adventist Colleges Abroad. So that's mainly, I would say, for maybe like history majors, education majors. With accounting, it's a little harder to do a student exchange program, just because like tax laws are different. The finances that you would do in the States or in Europe are so different from what you would do in Canada. So doing school abroad just didn't make sense for me. But then I thought, you know what? Like, I really want to travel, and I want to help people in a different setting. And so I was like, okay, but this is really scary, because I've been in an accounting class with Kiana and Selena for all 3 years. And we also did high school together. So it's like, we were the three. Like, it was the three of us going through the grind together in accounting. We had the same struggles, same successes when it came to our accounting classes. And I thought, that's going to be drastically different if I take a year off and leave. And my classmates, they're going to leave without me. They're going to get jobs without me. I'm going to feel like I am getting left behind. And I hate that feeling in every sort of way. Like, I always feel like I have to be ahead of the pack in order to stay up, up to it. Because even with grades, like, I would say that some of it comes naturally to me, but a lot of it just comes from hard work. You know, there's people where they don't study at all and they're getting 90s. How?
And now
Facts.
Respect to the people that can, but that's not me.
I have a theory. I think there are certain people obviously gifted that could do a specific subject. Like, I don't believe there's a smart person that could do all subjects at a higher level without hard work. Like I could see elementary level picking it up faster,
Yeah.
university level doing it, but like you cannot be the smartest doctor and the smartest what's the most opposite thing to medicine. Like you can't be the most smartest accountant at the same time and pick it up at the same time.
Yeah.
Obviously
Agreed.
you could pick up one thing, but I also believe in that grind.
Yeah.
But also in doing some research about Anna, I found out that from our Kingsway sources, he used to do well in high school.
Who are the
A plug.
Kingsway sources?
Bro,
Kingsway-
like 95% of Burman
is Kingsway.
Well,
But
high
I was
school is
like-
very different than university.
Yeah,
The extracurricular life in university, very different.
true.
But that's a great thing about university is
Yeah.
that you're more so well-rounding yourself now as an adult,
Yeah.
right? In high school, you're still under your parents' roof and you're just going through the motions of going to school and, you know, you're studying and you're getting by and you're doing well. But then university, you're on your own, really.
Yeah, you are.
Where was I going with
You were
that? Oh, yeah,
going- yeah.
back to the missions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
it was okay. I like that we drift. I always do that too. So I wanted to take a year off, right? But then all these doubts started coming into my mind. But then I said, you know what, God, I need a clear sign.
Yeah.
And that can be a risky prayer. And I think even now, like, we can't be dependent on those signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I, like, that's a disclaimer for sure. Like, whenever you need a prayer answered, don't always go to God, give me a sign. God, give me a sign. Maybe that works. And I'm still learning and growing in my spiritual walk as well.
Yeah.
Maybe that works for some people, that every time they pray, they ask for a sign and it's like, boom, they know what to do.
Yeah.
But for me, this was such a big decision that my faith was a little weary, I will admit.
Yeah.
So I said, God, I just need something tangible that this really is your plan for my life, because this is a whole year off. Like,
and it's scary.
yeah, like this is not me going on a mission trip for 10 days anymore. This is 10 months.
Yeah.
And I would be leaving school
Yeah.
and leaving friends
Yeah.
and graduating later than everyone else my age.
Mm.
So I was at my business law class with Lonnie Zacchaeus. He's a contract teacher with Burman.
Uh-huh.
And this was the day after I had prayed that prayer.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting in class, you know, going through it.
Yeah.
And my head was everywhere because I was thinking about this prayer I had. But then I was like, okay, I also need to focus on school. Like, just because I could potentially be taking a year off doesn't mean I can slack off now, right? It doesn't work like that. And then at the end of class, he said, okay, guys, wait, before you leave, I have a nugget of wisdom to share. And I was like,
Negative wisdom?
I was like, what is this?
Nugget.
And
Like
he
a
said,
little piece of information.
Yeah,
of
nugget.
wisdom.
like a chicken nugget, or maybe like a golden nugget.
I think it's a golden.
Golden.
Nugget. Chicken
It's
nugget.
not the chicken nugget.
Wisdom.
So
They're good too,
yeah,
you know?
that too. And he said, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't need to have it all figured out right now. If that means taking a year off to be a student missionary, then do it.
I would have melted,
It's a
bro. I
business
would've
law class. Why is he talking about student missions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
facts.
There was no XYZ, no correlation.
Yeah.
I'm like, tell me that's not God.
It's a sign.
Yeah.
That was God. And it was the day after I prayed it.
Great. Yeah.
So I said, you know what? That is God. That is God. So then I started going through the process of doing student missions.
Yeah.
And during this time, you know, COVID was still pretty predominant at Burman and worldwide. So there were limited options for me as to where I could do my mission year. But even with that, like, God knows that I needed to be at that specific school, that specific year, surrounded by those specific people. And the growth that I have gone through within those 10 months, incredible.
Mad.
Incredible.
Yeah. Tell us more about that. But I also don't skip over you being sick, because I remember us like getting an email about.
What did they send out? Actually, that was a year ago. This week, actually.
Wow. They just said that it was a prayer request because I was sick, and we're like, bro, what happened? I think that same week somebody else was sick too. So I was thinking to myself, this is sad, you know. Yeah. It was okay. So well, actually, was it not that big of a deal? Or
so I was filming a video today, and I realized there's still some repercussions of that.
Oh yeah.
So it was in October last year, and I was FaceTiming my sister during my lunch break at school, and my tongue started feeling numb. So I was like, oh, maybe I just like ate a fruit that you know made my tongue itchy or go numb. And I even told her on the FaceTime, I said, Ate, like older sister, right? Said, Ate, my tongue feels numb. And she's like, oh, it's probably nothing. So I was like, okay, well, I guess it's nothing. She's in the medical field. It's nothing.
Oh, yeah.
So then the day went by, and then I started blinking, and I was like, why are my eyes not feeling like they're closing at the same time? So I called one of my missionary friends, Kamea, over. I said, bro, are my eyes closing at the same time? And I blinked, and then her eyes were like, oh, you're not blinking at the same time. And then half of my face just was numb. Could not feel it, could not smile properly. Like, it was drooped on one side, couldn't blink. So I went to the
doctor,
the urgent clinic first, and then the doctor came out and said, okay, no, go straight to the emergency room. So I went straight to emergency, and then they diagnosed me with Bell's palsy. I was like, where did this come from? The what's the word, the reason for it, or the cause of it is not really known. They say it could be like a viral infection, but I wasn't sick, so I don't know where it came from. That was pretty scary. I had to sleep with an eye patch for a month because my eye wouldn't fully close, so it was just like dry all the time.
Pirate Anne.
Yeah, and then even smiling, I got a little bit insecure about it, but you know, you're working with kids, so they're so easy to get along with, and they don't have as much pressure as other adults, right? I feel like if I was in like the business space, like working at a firm or here at Burman, I would be like so insecure about it, like constantly covering my face. But with kids, I'm constantly laughing with them, and the amazing thing is, like, something that our principal there, Uncle Joey, had talked about, great guy. He has also had a medical condition prior, and he would talk about how, you know, how hate can damage the body, how like depression can damage the body. So if like all those things can damage the body, why can't love repair it? And I was like,
what?
That's so true, right? Like, it doesn't always have to be a medicine.
Yeah.
It can also be love. And that was so true, because they told me that I wouldn't recover for like 6-7 months.
Yeah.
But because I was constantly laughing with the kids. Smiling, singing, all the love that I was surrounded by, my face healed so much faster. Within 2 months, it was almost back to 100%. And that was just because I was smiling all the time at this school. Kids. But imagine if I wasn't surrounded by that love and I was like stressed at school, I wouldn't be smiling that much. So it's true, like, love can repair. It can repair a multitude of things. Physical, spiritual, friendships, relationships, everything.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So that was a blessing.
What?
It really is.
The roots.
So, like, what are the other things you learned there? Because you haven't spent as broad of a time, I'd say, outside Canada alone for this long time. I'm assuming these things. Yeah. So, being a teacher there, living in Hawaii, beautiful Hawaii, I used to think to myself, it's such a hard place to live at, right? Like, it's so bad.
Everyone would tell me that. The amount of people that are like, oh, that's not even a missionary.
So
made my bones grind. But
address
it's okay.
those allegations. And how are the Samoan people? What do you think about the food?
Yeah, they actually say Samoan. They hold it out. So I love the people that I worked with. Yeah. I'll give them a shout out and I'll send them this. So I worked with the girl Kamea, Letty, Matthias, and Angelica. So most of us were university students. Matthias had just graduated from Walla Walla, and then Letty was already in the working field. So the rest of us, though, were university students, and it was so cool because we were coming from different places all around the world. Some of them went to Southern public school. And then we all came this one year, and this was the 7th year that the school I was working at, Mauna Loa School, had been hiring missionaries. I see. So in the past, unfortunately, they really struggled with their student missionaries. Ooh. So just, people not being there. Just people not being there for the right reasons, or getting homesick, feeling a lot of pressure. Okay. So the year that the 5 of us were there last year, they kept telling us every time we would go to church, they would always say, you guys walk on water. I'm like, no, we don't. Like, we feel like we're doing the base minimum of what a missionary should be doing, right? We were serving at the school, but we were also participating at church, helping the community. But we thought, like, every missionary just does that. Like, as a missionary, that's what you should be doing. So it was really sad to hear that there were prior missionaries that just weren't doing that. Like, some just wouldn't even attend church. And that was mind-boggling to me. Like, wow, like, this is a mission. Like, you are called to do this by God, and you not showing up for your people there, I feel like you're breaking a promise with God.
Yeah.
This is a covenant between
I
you and
see.
him,
Oh.
not just between you and the people, but between you and God.
Yeah.
So being able to work with people that had that same mindset as me is like, we want to serve. Like we were here for God, for the people. We're here to grow. We're here to mentally rest as well from like the struggles of the world. And it was kind of like we were in an oasis of, it was paradise in the sense of like we could clear our mind from the struggles from back home. But there were still struggles there, like working with kids every day. Wow, I have big respect for education majors now. Lesson planning.
Oh man.
We would wake up at 5:50 a.m. every day. I was such a grandmother. I would sleep like 9 o'clock. That's it.
Yeah.
Now
That's okay.
Yeah, 9 o'clock. Wake up 5:50. We're at the school till 4 p.m. And yeah, the grind was real because you are with the kids 24/7. You're teaching them.
Yeah.
Lots of them are coming from broken homes.
Yeah.
So the attitude that you get can be through the roof as well. You know, kids dropping F-bombs here and there, and you're trying to figure out which fire to put out first. And being an accounting major, I'm not trained for this, but that's like just how God
works. Such a big responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? Like I credit, like there are 2-3 teachers in my life that I credit a lot of things that I have accomplished outside of my family, my dad and my mom. I have teachers that have actually shaped me. And you're right. Like that's why teaching should be like, even when you're trying to be a teacher, it should take longer. No, not longer, but like, I think that there should be as much emphasis on people understanding children psychology, treating people as much as there is in their education or being certified to teach. Because the more I think about it, I don't think I retained as much from elementary. Like as long as a kid can read and write, like
that's the
I used to think to myself, I would be so strict if I had kids, right? Now that I think about it, if I had, of course, God willing, I'm gonna have kids. But
shout out to his future wife as well
in the future. But if but get it back. I don't think I would be as mad, like serious about kids. Even my little brother now, about him being the smartest person in class, as I was like pressured to be, or like I don't hate it, but like, as long as a kid can read and write, what actually matters is their character, like like how you're molded would set you up to be somebody who has an influence, like, and that's what I mean when I say in my elementary, I don't remember a lot of things that gave me an advantage on other students from other schools. If you're talking about literally stuff on paper, but the intangibles on how to treat people, how to interact with people, how to study for things, you know, those things.
Those are the life lessons. I agree with that. Yeah. And that was my mission going in as well. It's like, even if the kids were to forget my name, I want them to remember the morals that I taught them, the way I showed love, the way that I reflected Christ in their lives. And for a lot of these kids, it was crazy to see, because school there is very laid back in certain schools, specifically the one I was at. You know, like during tests, like Hamilton would be playing the musical, like the songs would be playing during tests, and kids would turn in tests like 3 days later, 4 days later. Elementary school here, it's like 1 hour. If you don't finish it, you don't finish it. Maybe sometimes they give extra time, but other than that, it's like no talking. Everything gets in. So for me, coming in with that Canadian mentality, or like mainland mindset of, okay, no, like this is not how it works in the real world. Real world, quote unquote. So, you know, I would tell the kids, I was like, do your very best, double check your tests, aim high. And a lot of them would say, well, I only want to go up to high school. So there was that, right, as well. So you're trying to change that mindset of, no, just because your parents went just to high school, and maybe it's because of, you know, financial circumstances, and I do not bash anyone that didn't get a degree or anything. That doesn't define who you are and the work that you can do in the world. But I told them, I said, if you have the ability to become someone great, do it, right? And out of the 60 kids in our school, only about 10 were SEA. So in everything I was doing, I was like trying to reflect Christ.
Be nice.
And one of the biggest things that I really loved about my mission year was starting the school choir. So I channeled my inner Romando again. And started the school choir, and I thought diaphragm. We did those. Anytime I would see shoulders going up, I'm like, So yeah, I taught, and then the cool thing was you could teach secular songs at school choirs, but I said, you know what? No, this is all part of the ministry. Like, let me teach songs about Christ, and let me teach songs about Bible characters that these kids do not know about, which is crazy because like Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho. Yeah. Every Adventist kid knows that song. No idea. They didn't know it. I taught them a song about creation. They didn't really know what the creation days were. David and Goliath. I think there's a song about.
Did you teach them Hannah's favorite song?
What's her favorite song?
Zacchaeus, very little man.
I think we may have sung that once, but we did.
Was that shots fired?
No.
Talking about Zacchaeus was a very small man.
No, I didn't say anything. What did I say?
No,
unintentionally.
Zacchaeus as a small guy.
Oh, I forgot. Oh.
With her, very.
Bro, why are you specifying?
That's a shout out.
Bro, I was gonna do it a very subtle shot, but you guys have to.
Unintentional.
What I'm saying.
No, it was not.
Okay. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that Zacchaeus was approached by Jesus.
Yes.
Jesus dabbed him up. He was like, dog.
Yes, dog.
That's the lesson.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go cook. And
let's go cook.
Yeah. Let's cook. Henley can cook good, by the way. By the way, shout out to Henley because she be cooking good.
Yep.
Thank you for the food.
Thank you.
Love
and Zacchaeus' wife too, because they went to his house.
That's true.
Later on.
The whole family was involved.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, they actually ate on the movie at least, and he went and he took.
There's a Zacchaeus movie.
No, but Jesus's movie. There's a movie where he takes them to his house and he brings out the hidden money. He's stashed the money above his door.
What movie is this?
Okay,
I'm not on this.
There's this Jesus movie where
Is
they
it
actually delve deep into like Zacchaeus. There's a scene where Zacchaeus
and you
on
guys
the
just
tree.
both watched
And
this.
but like like how when you got lots of money, you gotta hide it.
Oh, okay,
I thought you guys watched it, but
no, it's just the way you guys dapped each other up. I was like, oh, he watched it. Okay.
But it's just that Zacchaeus meets Jesus and Jesus forgives him type of thing, and Zacchaeus says, I have to take you to my home type of thing. They go home, they're eating, and Zacchaeus just randomly stands up.
So much passion.
He gets motivated. He goes to the door. He's stashed the money above the door, right? He kind of opens, money. Like takes off a rug or something.
Yeah.
Tears it up, takes his money.
I wonder how small he actually was, though.
I mean,
I don't know why that came in, but I wonder how
would
tiny
he be considered
was.
short if he was from the
Asian descent?
You gotta be careful.
Where are we going with this?
I was gonna take another shot at the Philippines, but I'm not. I didn't say the Philippines.
Yo, so I got a question for you.
Okay, yeah, go.
Because like it's been like on my mind for so long. Because you're talking.
This
about,
has been what's the word? Premeditated.
Oh yeah.
Yes, from the beginning. Because you're talking about growth and like growth and growth and growth. Oh, Zacchaeus. You gotta eat
it's the connection.
I ruined the whole
You're good. I like that we're in the.
That was a good transition.
Lighter aspect.
So growth for me, like as an individual, I'm trying really hard to grow. There's always room for growth, and you're talking about like you gotta take every opportunity, and like yes, but dog does not get like tiring because like I can always do better. That's the issue. I can always do better. And like you can push yourself to an unhealthy amount of growth, right? Where it's like, okay, I have like 5 minutes here. I can like, use that for an opportunity of growth. How do you balance that in your life? Because like I can't focus myself too much on growth, because when I do like get in the mindset of like, oh, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna grow as an individual and I'm gonna be the best of myself. Like sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel emotionally like good right now, just because I'm such in that mindset for such a large amount of time, and pushing myself constantly that it becomes tiring. How do you first of all, do you have coping mechanisms, right? Catharsis, ways to recharge, I guess, and how do you do it without dying? You know what I'm saying?
She takes a year off.
Yeah.
Take a year. I am such a huge advocate for student missions now.
Yeah.
Take a year off. Okay, but something more tangible.
He tried to do that, by the way. In the
you
summer,
can
he
still
was saying,
do it.
like, and I said, no, Manny, you can't leave.
There's also some short-term missions that you could do for like one semester or over the summer.
I did that.
Yeah, you did that in northern Canada, right?
Because I prayed to God. I was like, bro, I'm trying to go. Like, he said go, right?
Uh-huh.
He said go.
Yeah.
And
Toronto.
Every time I open my book, it's like he said go, and I'm like, ooh, he did say go, right? And then I'm praying. I'm like, yo, I really want to go. And I'm talking to my homie who went to the Madro Islands.
Mm-hmm.
The Madro Island, I don't know if it's one or many, whatever. He went to the Madro Island. He's a very strong advocate of student missions as well. He was like, it changed my life. And I'm like, I'm trying to do that too. So I pray a dangerous prayer. And I'm like, yeah, like if that's what you want, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I call my parents. No, I call like everybody. They're all like, yeah, do it. I call my parents like last. And then they're like, Manny, nah.
Oh,
like,
See, me and your dad, when we met, he made me sign a contract.
well, what was the
Quebec City.
reasoning?
well, it wasn't like nah. It was like do it if you really feel compelled to. But they were not like pushing me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they were like, you should do it after your 4th year. And I was like, But they were like, we'll support you in your decision.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
At the end of the
it's
day.
their personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, oh, I'm really thinking about it because that really hit me. They're like, I don't have my parents' full support, you know, like they're like, their opinion is against it. So I'm like, okay, you know, that's cool. And then I'm just letting it sit, right? Letting it rot in the back of my mind. And then Maciel calls me. She's like, no, she was like, yo, Manny, do you have time for a call? And I'm like, oh no, I done goofed. Like, she don't call me. Like, she texts me, she don't call me. And then I come back home because I was on my bike. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call her. She's like, Manny, you want to go on a missionary trip? I'm like, bro, what? Like, why?
Wow.
Why are you hitting me up?
For a week.
Right? And like, I guess that was God's way to prep me and like to kind of get a feel for it because I had never done nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like his.
You went for a week, right?
Yeah, we went for a week. I got so sick, like physically, because it was really hard on me. But it was awesome. Like
Maranatha, right?
Huh?
Maranatha? Was it Maranatha? Or Adra?
Minutes.
It
was Adra.
Adra, right?
Yeah,
Any mission trip can be life-changing if you go in with the mindset of, I want to grow from this. I want my character to be refined. Yeah.
But
it could be a week.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a weekend.
what do you think about his question? Because I have an opinion on that.
Okay,
Where his question was basically, how do you settle for not constantly just want to grow and burn out at some point? Like, what's your...
What is the curve? What does the curve look like? The curve of growth.
Yeah. Okay.
For you?
So I will admit I did face burnout
Yeah.
3rd year, definitely. And the crazy thing is that God knows me so well that even before that burnout, that was the time I had decided to take a year off. And by the time I was burnt out, I was like, wow, it's already in the works that I'm going to take a year off and that I need that. But I think now just going forward with what I've learned the past 3 years and then from my mission year as well is rest. You have to rest. And even just something tangible would be the Sabbath. And I know here at Burman, like, Sabbath there's always something going on, especially students that are active on campus. Sabbath is one of the busiest days, right? So take time to reflect as well. I try to do that too at night. You know, I reflect on my week, sometimes on Fridays, and I just think, wow, okay, like what's something I could have done differently? What's something that I learned this week? What's something I need to cut back on so I can give a higher quality version of myself to other things? And that's why this year I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do Ubuntu. I'm going to work my 2 jobs and I'm going to do class, and other opportunities that arise, I'm going to weigh out the pros and cons of saying yes to them. So for example, Melissa asked me to lead out Sabbath school with her last week because you were preaching at Hannah Church. Hannah Church. Yeah, Hannah, right? Yeah, Hannah Church. Yeah, and you know, because I do have a lighter schedule, now I'm able to say yes to shorter term things, right? So something like Sabbath school, which is something I've never actually done before. I've never taught it. So I was like, okay, this is something new for me.
I didn't know you were teaching.
And you did good, by the way.
Praise God.
Where were you?
I was away. I was
Hannah
preaching.
You got the reports.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, boss. Yes,
I
boss.
gotta stay informed, dog.
There you go. Yeah. So just being able to do things like that. And I mean, I understand you guys are, you know, not your senior year yet and you still have that full course load and you guys take on extracurriculars. But whenever you can, just take those moments and instead of scrolling, try to just spend it with God, and I'm trying to work on that as well. My screen time is still pretty high.
Wow.
Can we get a number? Can we get a number?
A number?
Between a range.
Okay. Well, I also do a lot of content creation, so.
Yes, we
but
were
I think during the school year, my number has gone down to like 3.5 hours a day.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
In the
that's really
summer,
good.
we were
That's
up to
good.
6.
Whoa, that's still good.
We were up to 6 in
is
the
good?
summer.
Bruh.
No, 6 is way too high.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Way
every
too high.
day, dog.
Last
Now
year,
the three
I
and a
used to-
half, the
Yeah.
3.5, I could still bring that down. But a lot of the things that I do are on my phone, especially with content creation, and that's something I personally love to do, and that's something new that I've been doing in terms of like working with other brands. It's
It's
just
actually so fire.
It's
dude.
been so fun. Oh
we
my
were gonna
goodness.
really actually dig deep into that, like at some
Yeah.
point today. But I want to add on
Mm-hmm.
what Manny was saying, because I feel like the world is a cruel place. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would have graduated last year too, had I been back home, right?
Yeah.
So like all of my friends graduated last like June, July.
Mm-hmm.
Some are graduating this past month. And I kind of understand how time works, because there's a price that you pay by going on a mission trip,
Yeah.
or like taking a break from the growth in a literal sense that you're going through, that a growth in career or monetary aspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a reason for that too, right? Like I believe there is burnout,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
at the same time, this world is cruel, as I said, because unless you delay gratification, in a sense, you're gonna pay for it in a way. I think it just works in a way where the more you delay, most of the things I've been trying that on, the more I delay the gratification, the more it means something. That's why growth you will have to go through painful things. But think about it this way: like you cannot escape change, right? Like change will happen, whether
necessary.
and when change happens, you changing with that change and growing for the better is something that will put you in a better position.
Yeah.
Or else, yes, I'm a very big advocate nowadays. I don't know how, but I do actually believe people struggle mentally, right? I also struggle, but at the same time, I believe the obstacle is the way. The struggle is part of the way, right? So I don't know if Manny wanted to talk about that before, like we jumped into another thing. But what's your view on that? Because I want to pull back what you said at the beginning about constantly trying to grow and not being like, "Hey, I'm good enough," because this
like when
generation
can
is
I just rest and like be content with where I'm at?
And
Where
like
I'm
I'm
at.
good and I'm enough in Christ's eyes, right?
Yeah.
So I can be like chilling.
But in the world's eyes, what can I keep doing better?
Even in the world's eye, some
Yeah.
people just use that as an excuse and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm good," and you can't say nothing.
Yeah, it's
to
like,
me.
oh, I'm doing better than most people. Okay,
Yeah,
we're
but-
set. But then you look at other people too.
yeah.
The comparison, it's real. It's a real thing.
It's
It
a real
is.
thing, because and what do you think about delaying gratification and not being like, because I'm a very big proponent of that, right? But there's a value in taking a break, enjoying where you are, looking at what's happening. So how do you balance those things? What do you think about that?
Yeah, you have to really appreciate every chapter that you're in.
Yeah.
And something that we always have to remember, and I always hear this being talked about, and I was talking about this with Rayshana last night too, was that, sorry, my brain blanked out for a second there.
No worries.
Oh, it's, you are living the answered prayer of a younger you right now. And it's the truest thing, right? Like, as much as we're on the grind right now, so many people don't have the opportunity to be in university.
Yeah.
When I was little, I didn't think I would make it to university because I thought Jesus would be here by now. If I'm going to be a complete, when I was 5, I was like, I'm never going to make it to university. Jesus is going to come by then.
Yeah.
But now I'm here. And I love this chapter that I'm in right now. And something that also clicked in my mind was after April, I'm no longer going to ever have a university experience. This is it. This is it for me. After this, I'm in the working world.
Yes.
So I think in terms of like, you have to set those specific goals for yourself in terms of growth, because like you said, there's so many opportunities that you are going to be like, okay, which one do I pick? Because there's opportunities to grow emotionally in your friendships, in your relationships, financially, looking for a new place to live, with your job, with school. So as of right now, one of my personal goals is like, okay, accept a good job offer for next working year. So that's what I did. well, I didn't accept anything yet,
Yeah.
but I've been doing lots of
Working on that.
interviews
Yeah.
the past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's what my grind has been on.
Yeah.
School, going to my job, and doing these job interviews.
Yeah.
Because I know that's the next step in my life.
Yeah.
That's
So
the transition
everything
point.
else can wait.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Priority.
Or that's why, like, in terms of content creation, I haven't been doing it as much this week and
Yeah.
the past few weeks, because it's like I'm focused on my interviews.
Mm.
And as much as I want to grow my following, my creative skills,
Yeah.
that is not an urgent matter right
Yeah.
now. The
Yeah.
urgent matter is doing well at these interviews
Yeah.
so I can set myself up for success next year,
Yeah.
right? So really being specific about what you want to achieve next in your life, whether that's within the year, within the month, but it has to be something that you can measure in terms of time. Because if I'm just thinking, okay, I'm just going to do these job interviews for fun. Yes, it's good practice, but you can also get burnt out for just doing job interviews for practice.
Yeah.
This one is something I actually have to do to get to the next step I'm going
your
into
life.
in life.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm putting in the effort in those things.
Yeah.
And with other things, it can wait. It can wait.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And talking on choosing your growth and like being able to determine like what I want to do, and this is coming from like when you said reflection, like weekly reflection, because
Yeah.
I think this is important, and this is gonna feel like it's like a little bit of a on the side, but like you were talking about reflecting weekly, right? And a lot of people have the growth mindset of I'm just gonna go right now, boom, and it's like such a big difference that it's really hard on the body. I wanted to speak on routine and where does that fit in your life, in your pursuing of like a very transitional period in your life, right? A chapter where it's like you're literally an adult and where you're gonna like be, I don't know, like making coffee in the morning, going and sitting on your chair,
Yeah.
getting the work that you need to do, and then probably having especially in accounting, right? It's very scheduled in a way. It's kind of like there's a lot of repetition in it. And I wanted to speak on how are you also getting ready for that? Like, what's the importance of routine in your life, and where has it gotten you so far?
In terms of routine, especially this year, I created my schedule for this school year in the summer already, actually.
Okay.
I was like, okay, you know what? I'm trying to prevent burnout, so I'm going to plan this strategically in advance.
Yeah.
So in terms of work hours, I kind of measured it out. So I thought, okay, during my third year, I worked a lot of hours on essay. I had the 5 classes. I was working at marketing. So I was like, okay, that's a lot of hours, so I'm going to try and cut that back. So right now I'm working 16 hours a week, 10 hours at finance office, and then 6 hours at A Better World.
Yeah.
So even in terms of those opportunities, you know, I didn't reapply to work at marketing where I had worked for the past 3 years, right? Because I'm thinking, okay, now I'm in that phase where I'm about to go into the financial working place.
Yeah.
So I want to do a job that correlates more towards what my career is going to look like in a year.
Yeah.
So you have to realign your schedule and the things that you are participating in to align
Fit.
with the goals that you have.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, it's like, if I recertified my lifeguarding, I could work back at the Burman pool.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily going to help me anymore.
Yeah.
It's not something that I personally have the desire to do anymore.
You're not trying to go to the Olympics.
Yeah,
swimming
and
or-
I'm not working at camp anymore. So the next step for me is the work field. So what can I do in my routine today to help me for that goal in the future?
in the future.
And then, so 16 hours, it's been quite doable. But even with classes, like if you have a good employer here on campus that will understand if you need to cut back on a couple hours to be able to study for a test, like grades are important, you know, academics are important.
Yeah.
So trying to balance out, okay, there's a trade-off, you know, what's my cost of doing something for this reward?
Yeah.
So you really have to determine
Weigh that
that
out.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about your social media.
Mm-hmm.
What's your general view on social media before we actually talk about you in specific? Your
Yeah.
presence.
Social media, I think it's a fun place.
Yeah.
I like it because, you know, I get to stay updated with people that
People.
are my friends that
Yeah.
I don't see on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
I'm still not on Laps. Everyone has it, but
Yeah.
I can't get on it. It took
Too
me forever
much.
to get Be Real. Like I got it in May, and
Yeah.
everyone in September was like, "Oh, you got to get Be Real." Too much,
You don't want to
right?
be
So
re-
I think my main platform is Instagram,
Yeah.
just because I love the whole idea about reels and then seeing people's travel content, people staying at hotels for free because they do collaborations. Like anything I can do or get for free,
you would.
I'm all for that. Like the hustle, man. Even like in the summer, 2 summers ago, my dad and I would pick up furniture from like the side of the road that people were selling, not selling, sorry, that they just had throwing out, and we would refurnish it, paint it, and then sell it on Facebook Marketplace. And it was like a project I was able to do with my dad, and then my cost was nothing like paint, barely anything, and then I would sell these furniture items for like $300-$400. So in terms of social media, I think it's a great platform to connect with other people. It's a creative outlet. And you can meet people on there too. Like I met someone in Hawaii through Instagram. She was doing this thing called World Packers. So that's something that a lot of backpackers do. So they go to a different place around the world. They stay at this site. So it could be someone's house or a school. And then let's say the school says, okay, we want you to paint a mural for 3 weeks. In exchange for you painting that mural, you can stay in our dorms for free. So she was doing that in Hawaii. And have you guys heard of the SDA memes page?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm friends with the guy that runs it.
What?
And he...
That's such an SDA flex, bro.
It kind of is.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, I have a couple memes on there that I made.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did the Nemo one and I did a Felt one. Anyways.
Newfound respect, honestly.
Put it right here.
Yeah, that was a fun time. But yeah, he connected me with this girl that was in Hawaii. He was like, hey, I stayed with this girl in Germany for Christmas randomly one year. She's SDA. She's on one of the Hawaii Islands. I don't know which one she's on. I don't know which one you're on, but here's her contact. Maybe you guys can connect. She went that Sabbath the next day to the same church I had been going to for the past 7 months. Wow. And then we connected. Like you can't just do that without social media. So there's just cool stuff like that you can do because of that platform. And you have to use it in a positive way, right? Like social media, like whenever you see those negative comments, I don't like that. And I mean, who does? But like pick your battles, right? Like why are you gonna fight? Why are you gonna fight with someone on social media? Why are you gonna blast someone on social media? That too, you know, when people rant and it's like on their story or they like at people like saying I want to fight you or stuff like that.
You don't get
it's very immature.
What do you think about the other aspect of it with in relation to mental health? Because I feel like people on social media have a persona that's so far away from who they are in real person sometimes, not every time. One is that you try and create this model of yourself on social media, especially Instagram, I think. And on the other hand, there's this aspect of unconsciously being attached to the abnormal attention, I'd say, through social media. And some people actually get mentally ill because of it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like
it's a real
you
thing,
use it for business too. You actually extrapolate something from it, a value from it. I see value in social media, just like you do. I use it. I enjoy it. But what do you think about people's mental health in relation to social media, especially not targeting females, but like...
It's okay.
Because people like, you know, it creates so much insecurity in some people. So comparison is there.
Finding your worth in the amount of likes, the amount of views. You have to be really careful with that. And I think you have to know your own personal boundaries. So I've talked to quite a few people that say, okay, I've deleted the app because I was getting way too stressed. Like even with Be Real, I have a friend that said I had to delete it because I was constantly anxious as to what time it was going to go off during the day. Like stuff like that. Yeah, like it, like it can get to that point. But she chose for herself. She said, no, I know what my boundaries are. I see that I'm becoming anxious and I'm going to cut that in my life. So knowing when you have to cut something out, very important. Like lots of people say, oh, I'm going through a social media cleanse. If I were to go through a social media cleanse, I wouldn't be getting a lot of the free stuff that I am getting. And I wouldn't be able to connect with a lot of the friends that I do have online. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm going to cut back screen time, but I'm not going to cut out the outlet itself. So you really, once again, just have to know your boundaries, see how it is dealing with your mental health. And if it is going on a downward spiral, just know when to cut it before it gets too deep.
I have a question with that. How do you rationally make that list of pros and cons? Because I mean, like doom scrolling, it's a real thing, you know, like you get so much dopamine instant
Yeah.
dopamine
Yeah.
from scrolling.
Yeah.
And how do you like make a rational list of, man, this is why I should cut it out, and this is why I shouldn't, and this is what I should do, and this is
Yeah.
why it's bad and why it's good.
Yeah.
It's so
It's really hard to like, and you wouldn't even know it. You tell yourself, hey, I'm not gonna use this. You find yourself using it like
Yeah.
deep 5 minutes into reels or something like that, and it kind of affects your attention span, right? Like I remember being grade 10, losing my like smartphone and buying a little phone, right? I had like
The flip ones?
and I knew like
Yeah.
a ton of people's numbers by my head. Like I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll just write somebody's
Oh, I do
name.
not know anyone's numbers.
Yes.
My mom and dad. That's it.
Yeah, but even now, I only know my number. I know nobody else's number.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to study, I'm constantly every 20, 30 minutes, I'm thinking, okay, should I play some music just so that, you know, because my brain wants to do like 3 things at the same time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I usually just try and delete social media when I'm trying to actually like get into the grind mentality. And my social media time usage, or like internet in general, especially YouTube, doubles in the summer, right? In the summer, I'm constant. I tell myself, you're wasting your time for not using it. Like it's a biased rationale, right? I tell myself this lie. Hey, why don't you just open a video while you're working, right?
it's gonna be
Yeah.
like educational.
Educational.
And then somehow,
Listen. Yes.
never happens.
Yeah.
I think, okay, there's a couple points I have. So one of them is to be accountable with your friends. So a couple weeks ago, Samara, Rihanna, Jessica, and I were talking, and we set this goal for ourselves where we wouldn't look at our phone in the morning until we had done our devotional. And I'm telling you, the productivity that we had, and I'll speak for myself personally, by doing my devotional first and not even checking my phone at all, just like the alarm would go off, I would wake up, set it aside, do my devotional, and then my productivity was at an all-time high the whole week. And even now, like, I'm still doing it, and because I was accountable with them and they were accountable with me, we were able to do that. So I think it's important, like, start your day with Christ. Always start your day with Christ, because even if you say, okay, I'm going to scroll for 1 minute before I do my 30-minute devotional, you think, okay, that's like a good ratio. I'm doing more time with Christ than I am on my phone. So Christ should be able to overtake what I just saw online. No, but by the time that meme's already in your head, the audio is already playing in your mind. You're not going to be able to get that out when you're reading that Bible story.
Especially the reels like Josh would send to me, or Josiah would send to me, or somebody. Like I would open, oh man, your whole
They're too real, and it's constant. Because, you know, when trends come out, you hear the same song over and over and over again. There's a lot out there. But so I think one of the biggest things in terms of screen time, start with Christ every day. And I need to still be accountable for that. Like before my phone, it's God. And then at the end of the day too, I think I might even start trying to do this too, where I'll try to read my Bible at night as well. Like let God be the first thing you see when you wake up and the last thing you think about before going to bed as well.
No, but I find it so real, the fact that you said, like, you know, starting with God in the morning and not your phone. It's just, it sets your, like, the whole day, like how you're gonna go, right? Because like you said, like if you start with your phone, like that instant dopamine, then if you don't have that for the rest of your day's gonna be like so low energy, so unproductive. Whereas if you start, you know, just even like a cup of water, or like just like starting, you know, your devotional, you know, washing your face, getting things done, just like, you know, cleaning or like something productive in the long run, then your brain builds, you know, starts already in this productive mode, and it just keeps on like
going,
maybe, like not even, maybe not the whole day, but like, you know, most of the part of the day. Until, you know, you have some.
I don't know who's like.
Mode.
I think there's a method I use that, if anybody uses this, I believe it works for almost anybody. One is that what Josh just mentioned. Whenever I'm bored, or like I'm trying to put myself in a position to study hard or do something serious, I would do something so dumb like fixing my shoes, or like
the randomest task.
Just fixing my bed, or like just fixing something like sweeping.
I hate folding clothes, bro.
But
It's always clothes.
Yeah.
Like you just start like
Yeah.
I gotta
It
do
will
my
fix
laundry.
it. And
Yeah.
for the morning routine, one thing I've seen work in my life is writing what I want to do on like you know, these
Mhm.
little what are sticky notes type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The night before, just before I sleep, I'll just make a list of it. Just say Bible read, then phone, then
Yeah.
like, you know, and just put a box on it. And I just literally just do it, and I just
yeah,
cast it.
you just have to keep yourself accountable,
Yeah.
and you need to visually see what you've
See
written
what
down
you-
as well. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the thing, right? Like, I don't know if you guys know, you know, Alex Hormozy. These days, he comes on. It's just like a young entrepreneur, I think. And one of the podcasts he did with, I forgot his name, but there's something that he said that caught my attention. Confidence doesn't come from constantly saying affirmation to yourself through a mirror, like looking at yourself in the morning and saying,
Mhm.
oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm him, or, you know, every morning, but rather comes from the undeniable evidence of you sticking to your words that you stacked up. Like,
Yeah.
so on the daily basis, when you
Mhm.
keep the promise, when you do what you say you would do to yourself,
Mhm.
and keep those promises, it's undeniable. You know, what you see through the mirror is the person
Mhm.
that's keeping the promises on a daily basis. That's
Yeah.
where the confidence
Yeah.
comes. It's not from, because it will
That's
it will
true.
wash away, right?
fire.
If you just
Mhm.
hype yourself up.
And
Yeah.
you don't live it
just-
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the biggest.
You're lying to yourself,
Yeah,
really.
You know it.
Yeah.
Deep down, the brother's saying, nah, we know, you know, and I know you're not going to do this, you know? So little things, I failed in consistently doing that, because once the summer hits, I just throw away all of my disciplinary moves
Yeah.
and just get into like habit.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
run by my 98% habit rule, where most people do things, 98% of the things you do
Mhm.
are not things you think about doing. It's just your
It's
habitual,
subconscious. Yeah.
subconscious, right?
Yeah.
So I just turn on my habitual lifestyle on
Yeah.
once there's no school. But sorry, I
That's
went
okay.
on a rant, right? So we're talking about social media, things
Mhm.
like that. I want to ask you about friends, right?
Mhm.
So-
Ah.
Freshman year, you had friends. Second year, you had friends. Went off, came back. Now I see you around with new people,
Yeah.
and I'm happy for you too. But who do you consider your friend? How do you pick your friends?
Mhm.
And like,
Uh-huh.
how much trust do you put in people? Because I hear you talk about accountability with
Mhm.
people, right?
Mhm.
In the realist form, because you've been real with us for most of the time today. Like, how do you value friends? How much do you value friendships among your peers? Or do you just connect well with your family and have a bit of a disconnect with other people? How's your friend
Yeah.
life?
I think the first thing I would start with is there's a difference between having friends and being friendly.
Ooh, okay.
So, in terms of being friendly, I try to be
You're friendly,
friendly
yeah.
with everyone.
Yeah.
There's still moments where, I don't know, like I'll just get shy and then I won't talk to people or
Yeah.
won't even acknowledge them. I'm like, Anna, what are you doing? Just be
Yeah.
nice, just say
Yeah.
hi.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you actually have to talk to people more. Sometimes I think that. And then the other day someone was like, why are you saying hi to everyone? And I was like, oh, I guess you know what I mean? So I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm not saying hi to enough people.
Yeah.
And then in other people's views,
saying-
sometimes it's like, why are you saying hi to every single
Yeah.
person we're seeing? But in terms of friendships, I would say I already have the strong friendships in my life. A lot of them are people that aren't here with me at
Yeah.
school. I got really close with the girls I made friends with in high school from our childhood. I would say they're like my core people. My family is my core people.
Yeah.
And then a few people here at Burman that have also graduated, some
Yeah.
that are here.
Yeah.
And then the friends I made in Hawaii, like
Yeah.
my missionary friends.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can depend on them
Yeah.
even though they're not here with me in
Yeah.
person. And I think in this phase of life right now, in my 4th year, I actually see that as a blessing that they're not here, because it allowed me to expand, to talk to so many more different people
Yeah.
and like become close to people I wasn't close with
Yeah.
before leaving here at Burman.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I also want to like, because I'm wondering, I have that mindset of being friendly, but I don't actively try to really make friends at times. Although like, I know that's like, that should be the mindset, right?
You're
Like, oh,
friendly, but
Yeah, you're very
Yeah.
but
friendly.
I don't like, I feel so comfortable right now. Like I have all my friends, like this dude been with me from
for
like
time.
for time and half
Yeah.
a time, you know what I'm
Bro.
saying? And like
Oh, I know that reference.
Yeah.
Bible. Prophecy.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that one.
Is this
2000.
I feel like we've used that for he's on this pod for 3 weeks consecutively.
Oh yeah. I don't know. 'Cause
It's
we
a
love
good-
it.
It
We have to put time,
Time,
have time. Yeah.
You need a poster with it too.
But like, how do you deal with keeping those relationships strong? Because like, I'm not even gonna lie,
Yeah.
dog. I don't see someone, and like, I don't like saying this, but it's just the sad truth. I forget. Even if we're tight,
You just
if we're,
No,
like, dumb tight.
I
You walk-
can
you-
actually relate to that. You know
Yeah.
when they say distance makes the heart grow distance makes the heart grow fonder. For me, it's as bad as it sounds. Like you said, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
That is one that I have personally been working on.
Yeah.
But this is what I've come to accept and be comfortable with.
Yeah.
So with my girls that are back home in Ontario,
Yeah.
we're all over the place.
Yeah.
Like some in La Sierra, some Loma Linda, some Andrews, doing big things, great things. I'm so
Yeah.
happy for them. And they're happy for me too.
Yeah.
And we've had this conversation during the summers that we're home all
Yeah.
together. And we say, you know what, guys? Even though we are apart and we have these long distance friendships, whenever we come back together, it's like no time has passed. If you genuinely need me, call me, text me, and then I will do my best too to like reach out to you as well. But just because I'm not in constant contact with you during the year doesn't mean I have stopped loving you, doesn't mean I have stopped caring for you, doesn't mean I view you as someone less than me because we're growing in our social ladder now. And that's something that we've all come to accept. And the biggest thing with that is they're doing life where they need to be at right now.
Yeah.
I'm doing life in a place where I need to be at as well. So if I'm constantly worried about how I can reach out to those people that aren't in this space with me, I'm going to miss out on all the amazing things that are happening with me here in the present in person.
Yeah.
Like when I was in Hawaii, if I had if I had taken the time all the time to constantly call my friends from back home, check in on them, how would I build
And connect.
strong
Yeah.
connections with the people I was there with at that time? So I think that's something that you and your friends can talk about. Like just be honest with each other. Like, hey guys, even though we're not constantly in contact, I still care for you. I still love you. If you need me, reach out. I will do my best to reach out every once in a while too. But you're doing life where you need to be at, and so am I.
I
It's
feel
so counterintuitive too. It's like, oh, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, but I think
can you
it's
do
like
about it?
not to accept the mediocre, and maybe I have a wrong mentality here.
Yeah.
If someone disagrees with me, so be it.
I think
I'm
I
always
agree.
open to that. But for me personally, I do struggle
Yeah.
with like constantly FaceTiming people. I just or
Yeah.
texting.
Yeah.
I can't.
Here's the thing. Like for me, I'm one of those people who've gone through this process for real. Because back home, I was like literally everywhere. I grew up in like an Adventist campus, went to university, but I had friends all over the place. I just have so many friends, right? And as soon as I moved here, I tried to be as connected for the first 2 months, bro. Every day I'm calling everybody. It used to be so like,
It can get
But-
draining.
yeah.
Yeah.
It took time before I actually made friends here. Like, of course we know each other, we're friendly to each other, but I actually couldn't like be myself and just say or do dumb stuff and think they would not disrespect me for that. You know what I mean? Like understand where I'm coming from, read the room properly when I say things and see it in my perspective, right? And I see how hard it is to build friendships, and I see how I'm growing, I'm changing, right? You said something in a sense where we will stay true to our friendship even if we're in a different social ladder, moving apart, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem. Like that's the one of the biggest challenges I think everybody faces. Without you knowing it, you would be influenced by the people around you in Burman, your mentality with money, social, interactions, relationships you might get in relation with somebody else, have another friend group. All these things change you in a way, right?
Yeah.
I am a different person from who I was 2 years ago. I slightly have changed. And as much as I wish my best friends back home, who I have memories with, real memories with, would understand me. Now, if I went there, I think when I leave, they're going to be like, what's wrong? What has changed? You know what I mean? Just like you meeting all of your friends. And I don't know if it's possible to actually keep friends forever unless you have
No.
goals that meet.
Benefit
Like
and-
if both
Yeah.
of you are going to the same place, that's why I think in relationships too, it's key that both people have a very close goal, in a sense that it might not be a college degree or a career choice, but where they want to go. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's really necessary that you have converging goals, or else you can love somebody, but you'll speak a different language when
Yeah.
you meet.
Even with the conversation, like
yeah,
it can drastically change, and that's when you see that, wow, some people that you were really close with in high school,
Yeah.
some people are just in your life for a season.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like best
That's a
friend
scary
breakups
thought.
hurt.
oh yeah,
Those ones hurt. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
when they're different, and it can be a civil parting.
yeah.
It doesn't have to
To be
be
a
out of
beef,
spite.
yeah.
Yeah, no. And that's okay.
Yeah,
That's okay.
there's this quote that goes, "Friends for season, reason in life." So I used
Mhm.
to I saw it somewhere, I don't know when, but whenever I met people, I used to think to myself, "Is this like a friend for reason? Like, is it biology that's
Oh,
befriending
wow.
us, or is it like because we're just in the same time in university and we're together, or can this person?" And whenever I'm friends with somebody and I feel like there's a week where there's a big disconnect, I say, okay, this is gonna extrapolate in the future. Like, I'm an overthinker in that sense, and I feel bad whenever I think about it, because I know how much time it took before I actually could trust other people and befriend them. Talking about trust and stuff like that. What is the ideal Esther of our age? Like, how is that a good phrase?
Ideal Esther, can you expand?
Yeah, can you
Expand.
expand on that?
I've never asked.
Can we dissect that?
I've never
one?
asked a question like that, but what
Okay.
I was trying to say is, guys are in constant search for their
Oh.
lost bones.
This is where it's
Oh,
going.
okay,
So-
okay.
What are the things that you think are fundamental? Because before we talk about guys, I want to talk about girls, right? And you're actually the first female guest and the first student guest.
Wow,
Yeah.
2 for
Round of
2.
applause.
Yeah.
Thank
So-
you.
What are the qualities that you admire, let's say in your mom, your sister, or girls that you see that you believe are the qualities that uplift them as a person, God?
And that gives
And-
them a lot of worth.
Yeah. And what do you think is a worthy woman at this
Yeah.
stage? Everybody's worthy, loved by God. We're talking about just other things.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is having integrity. That's one of the biggest ones.
What does that mean?
So integrity is doing what's right even when no one is watching.
Oh, yo,
That one is
that's fire.
That one's a really big one, because it's easy to, go through motions of, okay, I'm acting the way a woman should act, but behind closed doors, the things I'm looking at, the things I'm listening to, the people I'm texting, what I'm saying to them, all those behind the scenes things, that's what I think makes a woman a woman.
Wow.
Because for girls, I feel like in a lot of ways we have it easy to alter our appearance.
It is.
Fashion,
Yeah.
Yeah.
makeup, hair.
Yeah.
There's that big things like, catfishing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also a real thing.
Go on
You know what I mean? Like
swimming
face or like face altering apps where you can like make yourself or like make your body look thinner. Like there's so many ways that we could outwardly and publicly come off a certain way. But it's what happens behind the closed doors
Well,
that really impact who you are as a woman and what you do for your own personal growth.
Well, how do I know?
who would
How
find
would
that?
how are you gonna find out?
Who would find that
that's-
woman?
There's no way I'm going
I'm
to.
That is true.
I'm
That's-
quoting the Bible.
That's a hard one. God,
who
will
would find that woman? There's a Bible verse that
Yeah.
says, I don't know how to phrase it in English. Like
Maybe.
it talks
I
about a
don't know.
woman and it says
who can find a virtuous wife?
yeah, or something like that. It just says who will find a woman. Like,
I just recently saw this
Yeah.
from a podcast I heard or a
Yeah,
video that
yeah.
I heard. I just want to know your thoughts about that a guy whenever he has an eye upon a girl,
Yeah.
right? There's like a 3-month rule you have to wait.
I've heard of that.
What
right?
is that?
What are your just before getting attached to any girl friend
Yeah.
with any with more intentions than just being friendly.
Yeah.
There's a 3-month gap that you
For-
should need to wait
Well,
to
Yeah.
actually see what
Who
you
they really
mentioned.
are.
Exactly.
The idea is that no one can fake who they really are
In
after
tears?
3 months.
I see.
Like the real person will come out.
So I was just thinking, like,
It's funny.
Yeah.
Wait, question. You said being friends with women, guys and girls
Oh,
without
can
other
guys and
intentions.
girls be best friends?
Yes, we have to
that's
talk.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Platonic
I like
guy-girl
this.
relationship. Yeah. What is that?
Okay, wait, which
What
one
do
are
we
we
think
answering
about it?
first?
Okay, let's answer his first.
Okay,
Yeah,
the
we're gonna
3-month
wrap
rule?
down. Yeah.
I don't know if it's exactly 3 months,
Yeah.
but I do agree that you can only fake who you are for so long.
I can't
Like,
fake myself for like 5 minutes. Dog.
See, that's it.
But I think people actually... Okay, one thing I've realized is you learn a lot about yourself in a relationship too.
Yes.
And some people might not be faking it to you, but they be telling lies to themselves and living in the lie.
Yeah.
They might not be trying to hide it, but they unconsciously are hiding all these red flags.
Yeah.
And could see them through time. But I don't think it's because they stop putting on the guard. It's because it eventually will just be visible because of the time, not
Yeah.
them putting on the act. Because I think the act becomes so natural through time. Like
You can fake it
Yeah.
for long enough that it starts to become true. I
you
see
could
what
be
you're saying.
married and
Well,
be
okay,
still faking.
Well, what do
Ah.
you think then about first dates? Do you think it should just be a guy and a girl, or do you think a group date is really important so that you can see what they're actually like around other people?
That's not a very popular opinion.
To do group dates?
Yeah. But that's fire.
I feel like
love
that
the
just
idea.
I feel like that just makes sense though.
Yeah.
But then again,
I think more
I
than
haven't been in the game for
Yeah.
a very long time.
Priorities.
King, you speak on it.
No, it's
Nothing. It's a friendly man. Yeah.
Okay.
King Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's hear
But
let's hear the advice.
I just feel like the friend date thing. I think, are you saying like a double date or something like that, or just friends going out together to
I
see
think,
how
yeah,
that
just
person acts?
friends going out together.
Yeah.
And I think even Pastor Dill has talked about this. What was
Yeah.
it, like group and then selection and then specialization or something? Like that's so true.
It's like the academic way to do it. It's like, you do the general.
Yeah, the
yeah,
generals,
and then
the
you
minor.
and then you get the PhD.
You think-
Yes, sir.
Right? So I think that's important.
Yeah.
Like you could but
Yeah.
that's if you're not already friends with them.
Oh yeah.
I think if you're already friends with the person, you already know who they are pretty
Yeah.
well.
Ah.
Yeah.
But them in a relationship aspect, obviously it's going to be different because you're in a romantic sense now.
Yeah.
But in terms of their morals, that already can be seen, I believe,
I
Yeah.
believe
in a
when
friendship
you-
setting.
In a friendship
100%.
setting.
And that's
Wow.
why they say most relationships last the longest because they were friends first.
Whoa.
But sometimes that actually doesn't work.
Yeah.
Once again.
Question.
It hurts so much too, though.
Yeah, once again, that one can also be really risky too
What do you think about platonic relationships?
with guys
Platonic
and girls.
friendships. Yeah.
I think, okay, this might be unpopular opinion, but I do not think that guys and girls, one guy and one girl, can be best friends. I don't think so.
We agree.
And I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
I know it's not possible.
Whoa. So.
Whoa.
Without dropping any.
We know it's
Specific-
not possible
Yeah.
because at one point
Yeah.
someone is going to fall for the other.
Yeah.
I think it's just a proven fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you won't fall for each other at the same time.
Yeah.
Or in the same season.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. Wow, I just tried to sound deep, but it was the same
Time
thing.
and season.
Yeah, same thing. But I think one person will always fall for the other.
Yeah.
And
You know
maybe
why, though?
the other one will too.
Yeah.
Or maybe one just won't.
One
but
will
at
never.
least one
One
of the
will.
two.
That's so true. I think you
It's
know why.
proximity.
Yes, you'd
Yeah.
be blind to most of the things if you're friends first and you have no other intentions at the beginning.
Yeah.
It will blind you from the many things because I'm so biased towards my opinion on Josh and Manny. They're my friends. Like I can never be objective about them at this point in my relationship
Okay.
with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine then moving into that because the affection, the love you share as friends would create more of an interest in the person, whichever person it is, to get more of it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're getting this genuine, unpaid for love. Like that's the one thing I always admire about love in general. The idea of love is like you pay that person nothing. Of course, you pay them something these days, but at least love in a high school setting, love in a high school setting is like both of those people have no reason to date except for just being attracted to each other, wanting to be around.
Yeah, and I think you can have like close guy friends, close girlfriends, but for it to be just the two of you as the best friends,
it's not gonna work.
It is gonna end up.
It's gonna end up with someone catching feelings because you're in that space so much together. Like if you were the last man on earth and there was one more woman on earth, tell me you wouldn't fall for them. We talked about this. You guys talk about that?
No. This is okay.
But it's true. Like if you're in the same space for so long.
Oh man.
But love comes softly, and I believe that. It can.
That's fire, but then it's like from that.
He's the biggest.
Are you against this concept?
Yeah. No. Guys and girls can be friends.
It's okay if you are.
Exploring the thought.
The waters.
Okay, from that, like, does that mean that love is very highly, how do you say it? Like, it can be developed over like, any type of love can be developed, right? Because like I've heard people say, man, like I would never fall for this person even if I tried. Like,
I do believe it can be developed because you're never gonna hate everything about a person. Even if there's a person you dislike, there's gonna be at least one thing that you like about them.
Can that really
and that can
be the
grow
only basis of your love though?
I don't think it's strong enough, but I think it can build.
Here's the thing.
But like, why put yourself through that?
I think there's also this aspect of it where everybody, to some extent, loves the nurture of another human being. I think God has put in you to be when you receive affection and love in some sense, you want to give it back, or you want to know why that you're receiving it, right? Sometimes curiosity. The person on the other side might just be doing it out of, hey, just friends, right? Because it's from North America. But
not the green card. That's the green card.
But at the end of the day, it will create more friction, and it will create more like it will be a sad ending to a good story. That's why I really like. I have to because I find myself in these situations where I talk myself into being friends with people. Then I have to say to myself intentionally, hey, you don't want to create some unnecessary like drama. Even friction. If you could be anybody, it doesn't matter who you are at the beginning. It will matter later on who you are. But so talking about integrity, what are other things that you believe a woman should have that maybe are overlooked? Because integrity, so beautiful. I didn't think about it, but you're right. That really matters because. I think at the end of the day, when the wedding's over, everybody's gone home, you're gonna be left alone with that person. And if the colors are like different from what you're used to,
it's gonna be a little scary.
Sad,
I think by a woman knowing her value and having confidence is also something really beautiful for a woman to have. Because when you know your value, there's so much judgment in the world. And like guys say, oh, girls get more judgment than women. And then girls say the same thing. Oh, no, girls get more judgment than men do. I think we both get it in an even amount, just in different ways. And I think for women, there's always something that is picked at. You know, like, oh, she wants to be a career woman. But then what about family? Or what if a woman's goal is to raise a family? Oh, wow, she's not hardworking. She doesn't have any goals. But every woman's goals is different. So when they are able to value themselves, know what they want, I think that is very attractive. When a woman knows what they want.
But is it hard? Like, no, I've been saying all these controversial things by first thing. I don't mean to offend anyone. But the thing is, I just feel like that's one of the big problems with women too, though. Like now knowing what they actually want. Because even on a friendly setting, what I gather is, it changes so fast where
Yeah.
and I generally believe it's harder for guys to get women than women to get guys, because if a woman, as you say, doesn't value herself to a certain extent,
It's very easy for her to get picked up by any guy.
and any guy would like the I'd say the bar for a guy's expectation, like if we're in a room with 10 girls, me and Manny are in the room, I think out of the 10 girls in the proper setting, 6-7 of them would have a chance to at least have a conversation with us. To like, it's not even a relationship, but we treat them well and like value their presence. I think out of 10 guys, if you are in a room, you'd maybe value 1 or 2 in that setting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, guys have a different pool to what their expectations are. And even like what's expected of guys, I think, are more tangibles than intangibles. Most of the time, the society doesn't turns a blind eye to guys having other things besides the money or like the name, you know what I mean? So we'll talk about that later, but I feel like also when it comes to women, there's these things that such as integrity, knowing your value, but where does that leave you if you are not, let's say,
if you don't have either?
And also where does humility come in? Because I feel like what girls want is so like unrealistic, like, usually.
He has to be 6 feet tall.
Yes, because I'd sit at the calf table and we'd just talk about these type of things, and they'd be talking about some $200,000-$300,000 a year, or like this tall, this physique, doctor, or something like that.
Doesn't cut it.
So like
so,
like where does for women, just speak on the specific thing. I made a broad nonsense, but let me frame it this way. What do you think girls should look at when they treat other guys or pick a dating partner?
That's
in a realistic way. What do you think?
In a realistic way, I think personality plays a huge key. And you know, for girls that value and love Christ, I think that should always be the first one. Like, do they love God? That one has been a hard one for me personally to grasp, because there's lots of guys that love the Lord, but then I ask myself, I'm like, then why can't I just date them? And I'm still figuring that out for myself too, because I'm like, there could be some potential guys on campus for me. But why can't I bring myself to date them? Is that a me thing? Is that a them thing?
But it's not only one thing though, right? What are other things?
But I think the first and foremost is God. 100%. They love the Lord. They are willing to grow. I think just a willing spirit is the biggest one, because even in terms of like, let's say for some people, it's like for some girls or for some guys, it says, oh, I want to have the exact same hobbies as them. Like if they don't play sports, I don't want to be with them. Or if they're not good at photography or art, or if he doesn't sing, I don't want it. Stuff like that. But you're going to, if you think about it, one day you're going to build a life together. And those are the things you're going to have in common. You don't both have to have the exact same likes, the exact same hobbies to be able to love each other.
Eventually.
Exactly. But if they're willing, let's say you like to hike and your spouse doesn't. Is that going to make or break it for you? But if your spouse says, okay, I'm willing to hike with you maybe like once every 2 months. They don't always have to do it with you. But just being willing to try to love the things that your significant other loves. But you don't have to change yourself just to fit the mold of who they are. Because then you're not two puzzle pieces coming together. If you're the same piece, you can't be put together.
And in trying to be with that person, you lose what made you attracted to each other,
like, and what makes you.
That's true. That's the story of Josiah's parents, bro. What? Like the Hello Kitty car. So
the Mama Mobile.
Yeah, the Mama Mobile.
I heard about this the other day, like 2 days ago.
So literally, Josiah's dad drives in the Hello Kitty mobile. Like, because there's a strong passion on the mother's side of Hello Kitty. And there are plenty of accessories that are in the car, in the house, in the home of Hello Kitty. And oh man, that is so not masculine. You know what I mean?
In like,
but all things.
But he's just like,
But yet, like,
just as that being a pastor and like being like when you talk to him, you don't get any of these like Hello Kitty vibes, you know.
Oh,
He's
no,
like,
no.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But he's
yeah.
still like,
Proud
So-
to drive it.
So
Yeah.
being willing to be like open to like explore and like willingness, right? And you
Mhm.
mentioned willingness and God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that like brought me to, because you were like, why can't I just date them? Because like they
Mm.
love God, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe that God has a specific person?
Like a
for you?
soulmate?
Yeah.
oh,
I talked about this one too before. I think it's comforting to believe in the fact of a
soulmate
soulmate. Because there
We're
will be
quoting it.
40-year-old women that say, I'm not with a man because my soulmate and I have not
Oh,
met
man.
yet.
Oh, that's like,
oh
What?
man.
And God forbid I become that 40-year-old.
No, you won't.
But I don't believe in soulmates. No. I think you are compatible with multiple
man.
people.
Anna, I'm just finding out we agree on a lot of things. Continue.
The mindset. Yeah. Like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't think there is just one person in the world
Me
that
too.
you can get along with and
Yeah.
they are your one and only. Because God forbid your spouse dies. Are you going to be alone forever?
yeah. Because that was your soulmate,
That's
right?
yeah,
So-
but that's not what God intends. God made man and woman to be together.
Yeah.
And if you lose that person,
Yeah.
or like even in a tangible sense, for us today, you're dating someone, you
Yeah.
break up with them.
Yeah.
They were my soulmate. I'm gonna wait forever for them,
Bruh.
honey.
Move.
No,
Yeah.
Let's move.
like
That's
maybe,
toxic in the-
yeah, it can't be like that. But I think that's where full surrender to God comes in,
Yeah.
because you can get sucked into that mindset of
Yeah.
thinking, I'm gonna keep fighting for this toxic relationship
Yeah.
because they are my person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about
No.
toxic status? Like, I feel like there's so much value in status. Back home, it is clear. It's not even hidden or like
Mm.
when you want to get married. Let's say I want to marry a woman. If she's from my like tribe or something. I have to buy a lot of cows, buy a lot of like money. I have to
The dowry.
Yeah, the dowry,
Yeah.
right? I have to go there, have to send elders first, and they're gonna say, "What does he even do? Who is this man?" And
Yeah.
they have to say, "Oh, Abel, he is this man. He runs this stuff.
Yeah.
He does these things." Of course, it's an insurance policy to. They don't want to send their daughters with somebody that's gonna throw her out and
Yeah,
like do
yeah.
bad things to her.
Yeah.
There's an accountability to it. There's so much reason to it. But these days, that has morphed into one side of it without the accountability. It's more of flashiness, say the Instagram story of the proposal or this guy driving the coolest car or something. How do you personally avoid not getting trapped into not cloud chasing, but like chasing that
Like being
ideal man
a
that
gold
is
digger
like
too,
yeah.
type of stuff.
How do what's your advice for other girls too if there's something you think about?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is like seeing if the guy is a hard worker.
Yeah.
Being hardworking doesn't mean that your life is always going to be comfortable
Yeah.
or that it's beyond comfortable.
Yeah.
Hardworking also means being in the trenches.
Yeah.
But if you are constantly like doing your part, doing your best in where you're at, I think that's very attractive. Like, I don't know, what's a looked down upon job for guys?
Trash man.
A garbage collector.
Yeah.
But if he's a hard worker and he loves what he does, and if he's passionate about it, isn't that enough? I feel like
He comes home, he's like, honey, today,
There you go.
500 trashes.
I know that.
Yeah.
that
And also think about it this way. Most of the guys these days, unlike 1,000 years ago, they can't go hunt. They can't go fight in a war. There's nowhere where they could express their inner like, you know what I mean? So they end up being, if they're not in the upper echelons of like career and stuff like that, society doesn't value you. You don't get good loans from the bank. You wouldn't give them as a manager. In the household, the wife would just tell them that, hey, you're garbage man. You know, if you're actually in the trenches, most guys end up working more times to help their family. Their kids grow up without them around and blame them for not being around. Or the wives also blame the guys for not giving them proper time and attention while these guys are out there in the trenches, right? We're sympathizing with the men out there doing jobs just like the women. We'll get to them too. But we're talking about that side
Yeah.
of it, like, because there's this, you're putting your future, you're
On the
stalking
line,
it
yeah.
into this guy based on where he is. I believe in that. I have nothing right now.
Mhm.
If my girlfriend says, you don't have so I'll not date you. Or like if a girl says, hey, you know, I'm gonna go date somebody who's better than you because they have more money. It will hurt me, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you avoid that? Like, how do you constantly remind yourself to be conscious about it? Because if you're not conscious about it, I think it will naturally, like,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know.
Yeah. Wow, that's a tough one. And I think it's also hard to speak because I'm also not in a relationship right
Yeah.
now. Like, I'm not married. I don't have years of experience.
Yeah, true.
But I think the way that I see it too is like, have you guys ever heard in every relationship there's a reacher and there's a settler?
Please enlighten
Is
us.
So
in every relationship? Wow.
that's what society says, where it's like one person is like, whoa, how did they get her or how did they get him? And then on the other side, it's like, oh man, they are settling. They are definitely could do better.
Out of the two.
Out of the two, there's always one that's a settler, and there's a reacher.
Dating down and up.
Yeah, that type of thing. So I think something that we can think going forward is like, at some points you will be settling and at some points you will be reaching. And I think that's the healthy balance. Like, where your significant other is strong, you might be weak. And in some of your strengths, you could help them up.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should be to the point where it's like you feel as if you're better than them at everything or they're better than everything compared to you.
Yeah.
So I think it's like you have to both have that equal set of things that you're good
Yeah.
and bad at
Yeah.
and be willing to help each other through it. Because I think the support and security is like the biggest things that a woman will seek.
Yeah.
And there is attractiveness in safety and security.
and
Like
safety.
there, I was watching a movie with like Samara and Rihanna and
Yeah.
Jessica, and yeah, like it's one of those choose your adventure movies where it's like it starts with a girl and she's in a relationship with this guy, and in our worldly mindset we're thinking, oh, I don't want her to end up with a boyfriend. I want her to go meet another guy because that's more exciting.
Yeah.
And I won't spoil the movie, but pretty much by the end of it, we're like, wow, the world has really trained our minds to always want something new,
Better.
something exciting. But when did security become unattractive? It shouldn't be. Because if we're comparing like the church and Christ and then us with a spouse, like God is so secure in us. There's nothing that will waver him to not want to be with us.
Yeah.
So why would you want to be with a person that is unsure about you?
Yeah. It's good to have a worthy opponent in a sense, like
Yeah.
a person that could support you and you could support too in a sense. But I don't believe everything has to necessarily be the same. Like
Yeah.
we don't have to earn the same amount of money to help one another. We don't have to care as much about certain things as I think more or less it should be more about, you know, the back and forth, the help in a journal, because
supporting
it's
each other.
a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's in the future for Anna?
What's in the future for me? Yeah, I think it would just be getting a job for next year. So I have a couple job offers, praise God, from the interviews that I did do, which is super, super exciting. They're actually here in Alberta. So I would be sticking around.
Local.
And I mean, I'm really happy about that because in terms of just graduating from university, financially, like I would want to be in BC, but the wallet doesn't look like that's going to happen. And that's okay because this is where I'm at in life right now, and I'm going to learn to appreciate the space that I'm in right now. So I'm really excited for that because after grad, it's like, okay, I have the summer off before I start work. So I do want to backpack in Europe for at least a month.
Okay.
I really want to do that. One final hurrah of a trip from my childhood
Before
the grind starts again. Yeah.
Yes.
Because once I start studying for that CPA, man, it's going to be an intense grind, and it's also working full time. So, like an 8 to 5 plus studying on top of that, like the student life doesn't end. I think it's going to get more intense.
So you'll be working while you're studying for the CPA?
Yeah. So pretty much the firms that I've been interviewing with, they would pay for my studies. Like all the modules, cases, and then the exam itself while I work with them too. Yeah.
Wow.
So
it'd be nice.
On the future, right? I'm wondering something because you're a very goal-driven woman, right? And I think like we can all agree on that you have like very high goals and that you're very high achiever, and that I think you have a good idea of where you want to go, and that like you're working really hard for that. And this is kind of like the transitional piece of looking into the future and also looking at relationships. Do you think, are you ever scared that your high achieving will
Hinder
and maybe even scare some of the men? Because dog, like, you know, like being a man, it's like that's what you're supposed to be in a way, right?
Yeah. Whew. Okay. That one is a tough one.
Yeah.
Because there are quite a few times, you know, where I will...
Producer Josh.
There you go. Where I will go throughout the school days. Like, even recently, there's always going to be those thoughts. I'm like, man, why am I not in a relationship?
Yeah.
And I wonder those things. I'm like, I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I'm in a healthy place. I feel like the relationship baggage that I've carried in the past have been lightened.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm right with God.
Yeah.
So why am I not in a relationship? And what I think I have come to terms with is, even though I feel like I am that place where I'm ready, what if the person that is my end game isn't? So is that the reason why? But I also don't know if that is the right thing either. And once again, like, I'm willing... Wow, I just put myself out there. I am willing to go on a date.
Oh my
I will
days.
be real.
We will have this video on the wedding. We will have this video.
I'm willing.
Yeah.
But
People
no one has asked me.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't been asked out on a date since freshman year.
Yeah.
Freshman year?
You give off that, like...
But the thing is, like...
The at.
Not the at. I am ready, but I don't know if there's anyone here at Burman for me. I don't know.
Yeah. No.
I'm open to it, but no one has said anything. So,
and
I don't feel like I don't have the desire to, like, there's no one that I personally see that I'm like, I want that person.
That person,
For me to put myself out there and be like, hey, do you want to go out?
Yeah.
There's just...
Yeah, not something like that.
Yeah.
But it's so cool that you're, like, you know, open about it. Because at the end of the day, who knows? This might be the day for that person to make that decision. But it's so, I'm
going to have to look over the Faces book again.
I thought that was a Maple thing only. I thought it was a guy thing. There was like a recruitment
guys, the amount
process.
of things that girls do that guys don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, for real? Alright, can we like spill one? Like just one. Just
like
one.
what were, when you're freshmen in Lakeview, what were the things that were so like spicy and like,
and that caught you off guard maybe?
Yeah. Girly things in the dorms.
I think one of the biggest things was just like after any girl would go on a date and then like we would all talk about it and how it went, and then we would know everything about the guy. We would see them in the halls and be like, you have no idea what I know.
It's like analyzing pros and cons, like making a list like, oh, okay, okay.
But I think it's just funny to see like how freshman year everyone was dating everyone, and then to see how it really like specialized, and then who actually ended up together. And some of the relationships were like, whoa, that was out of nowhere. But it works.
True.
And that's why you also never know, because people that you see that you're like, wow, I didn't think that would mesh well. Work out.
Peak,
So once again, you never know.
You never know.
You
but
never know.
I also think that, again, you never know, because until you know that person in close proximity, you would never know if that person is who they say. This is one of the things I live by. I tell this guys, like, I care so much about what my real friends think about me, but I couldn't care less about what other people think. Like, each time I say something, I do something, I'm always like more open to listening to people who know me for real to tell me something about it. That's why I love that you said, I don't see anybody right now that I'm like, oh, but if somebody comes out of nowhere, I'm not going to be like,
I'm not going to...
Before you actually know the person. Yeah, because everybody has a different, you know, once the onion thing is peeled, the layers are peeled.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
How what's the best way to describe your spiritual life right now?
Right
Where
now?
are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, chapter. What chapter are you in? your
What
spiritual life?
chapter? Yeah.
Because like you brought that
What
up, like,
what
and we did that in Saruk, and I thought that was like fire. It's like, what's the title of your chapter? Like,
Oh yeah, we did do that. I don't think I answered that one though.
so,
Was
Yeah,
that
so
like a
now-
group thing or?
yeah, it was like a group. Like, were you not there? Yeah, you were there.
Wow, I don't know. I don't remember that. Okay, the chapter of my spiritual walk right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good one. I would say in the season of blossoming, I guess.
That's a beautiful title. In the season. Of
Yeah,
blessing.
because I feel like
Wow.
there are times where I feel like my relationship with God is dead in a sense,
Yeah.
where it's like I
Fall.
don't feel like I'm on fire for Him.
Yeah.
But after all the burnout and everything, after the tree was dead,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in that place now where it's like something beautiful is coming from
Yeah.
all that winter,
Yeah.
all the storms,
Yeah.
and now it's just
Winter on Monday.
yeah.
Don't say
Now
that.
it's
Okay.
yeah.
We're not gonna mention it.
The growth with God has been beautiful,
Yeah.
and I see Him more as a friend now
Mm.
than just as a father.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this at AY, and yeah, like God has so many different roles in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think right now He is my friend.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I love your positive. Like, I love the words you're using because I'm a big believer in words that you use in your life. Because you say, "I'm in my blossoming stage," right? That's why in the Bible it says, "For those who have, it will be added," right? For those who have nothing, it will be taken from them. It's a bit capitalistic too, but in the same stream, like those people who are positive about where they're going, what they say. I don't believe in manifestation, just so like I'm not cancelled, but I do believe that there's power in words, right?
Yeah.
In what you say, and when you believe that you're blossoming, it will actually come true because you pray about it. You put yourself in the position too, and yeah,
Yeah, the more you say it out loud, the more you start to believe it.
yeah,
For sure.
and I think also more than just random belief or like just faith in saying, "Oh, I'm in," putting yourself in a better position. Like if you are in your blossoming stage, putting yourself in a position where you don't see your phone to study the word, so your blossoming is continually happening.
Yeah.
Right? You can't be like, "Hey, I'll pray about." I think I saw this somewhere where she was saying, "You don't pray for the bus and not run for like you know."
Yeah.
I saw it online.
That was
Okay.
she's the actress from the show Scandal.
Right? Oh,
I know that exact quote. It's like, you don't pray to catch the bus, then stroll down the street.
yeah,
you have to
can't.
run.
Yeah, there's a role that you play in blossoming,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's a role that we have to play on the daily basis. But I love that you are in that phase of your she's
Blossoming.
blossoming.
Yes.
And yeah, that's
The
something.
autumn.
Yeah, and that's something that we can all apply. Like, even just in terms of those moments of silence in our day. You know how like we were talking about screen time.
Yeah.
Fill those moments with God instead.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be comfortable in the silence and use that as just extra time to communicate with Him. Like it's easy to just like turn on the radio or connect your phone to your Bluetooth in your car while you're driving, but it's like no. Sometimes that 5 minutes, just use that for you and God.
And it can be life changing.
It can be. Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
Let's talk about your fashion taste in fashion. Who inspires you as a fashion person?
Eric Raja.
I'm just kidding. Oh yeah, us.
The suits. Inspires my fashion. Well, I love thrifting.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the biggest things. I don't think I follow like a specific person. Like I don't have a model
Oh, true.
that I look up to. I do like wearing different things. Like I try to keep it business casual now just because I'm like, oh man, I guess I'm going into the workforce and I can't keep buying like crazy looking pants or that type of stuff. So I'm like, okay, I have to kind of fit my wardrobe around that. But yeah, I'm always about saving money whenever you can. Like I like being thrifty about things.
Yeah.
These flats are thrifted. This is thrifted. This is my dad's belt.
Yeah.
This was the most expensive pants I've bought and they were $60. That's the most expensive, and I really wanted mom jeans. I was trying to thrift them for the longest time, could never find a pair. So when it comes to like things where you're like, okay, I don't think I can thrift it, and I'm willing to make the investment for it because I'm going to use it all the time, then it's okay. But yeah,
for anybody who would see your account, they would think you're sponsored by Lululemon or something.
No.
Lululemon.
Maybe
You know
one
the
day.
reference?
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Somebody
No, as of
tricked me
right
into
now,
believing
no.
it. Yeah, but I believe that somebody posted. I think it was HM, right? She posted saying she was sponsored.
Oh
by
yeah,
Lululemon.
yeah. I saw that on their
actually
hike.
took it seriously. I was like, oh, nice. And I was
Congrats.
like, how though? Like, right? How do
that's a huge
people
brand.
get these connections? Because I never understood how thrift stores worked when I came. Bro, back home, I left all of my nice clothes. I said, Canada, nice clothes, nice shoes, cheap. I come in, I realized it's so bad. But then,
things are expensive.
Yeah, figuring out what thrifting was, Valley Village and all those other smaller thrifting places.
I think it's because I grew up thrifting, like, because my parents were immigrants, so in the beginning it was rough, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And my parents worked really, really
hard. Were you
hard.
born here?
I was.
Yeah.
But my parents both
They
immigrated
came,
from the Philippines. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
So it was one income household to start with. My dad was finishing up university here in Canada.
Yeah.
So, we started from little.
Yeah.
And I never grew up with a TV in the house either. And it wasn't a necessity for me.
Yeah.
So I really thank my parents for showing us what the simple life looked like, but they didn't deprive us of the things that mattered.
Really mattered.
Love, giving us experiences at an Adventist education. Like they really prioritized that. So where it mattered, that's where they invested.
They spent it.
Yeah.
What's your relationship with your dad, your mom?
Yeah, I love my parents.
W.
Yeah, it's actually funny because we have this, our term of endearment is actually just, we say friend. Like they call me friend, I call them friend. And that may sound, it sounds so disrespectful to most people. But if you look at all my texts with my parents, it says, hey friend. And then even when we talk in person, hey friend. And that actually started, I think, my sophomore year of high school. Because my dad went to the Philippines for my Lola's funeral. My sister started working at camp. So it was just my mom and I at home for the summer. And all my friends were working at camp too. So I told my mom, I was like, I have no friends. And she was like, I'll be your friend. Wow. And then I was like, and then I was like, okay, friend. And then we're like, okay, friend. And then my dad hopped on it. And then we're like, okay, I guess you can be friend too. But yeah, now we're just friend. And my parents obviously still give me advice. I seek them out when I need advice for life, work, relationships, all that stuff. Yeah. But I think I'm starting to get in that phase where, I am going into adulthood. And now I take their advice. And when you're a kid, normally it's like, okay, you take the advice. Yeah. But now I hear it, and maybe I'll apply parts of it, and maybe I won't apply some of it. Yeah. And I think that's the beautiful thing about growing in your relationship with your parents, is it will get to the point where you start seeing eye to eye on things. You start understanding when they would say things when you were little, like, you'll understand when you're older. You'll never get it till you're a mom. Yeah. That type of stuff, right? Like we start seeing those more into light as we get older. And it's really cool because we value the sacrifices they made all the much more. Yeah. We see why they made the decisions that they did, why they made the rules that they did. Like when I was younger, my parents, for like I think a couple of months, they started seeing me like on my phone too much. So they said, okay, we're going to take it away like at 10 p.m. every night. And being a high school student, I was like, no, I have to text people. I'm going to see them tomorrow. Like it's going to be okay. And I didn't get it. I was like, why? I don't understand. Like, why are you making all these rules? Yeah. Like I'm old enough. Yeah. But I see it. I see it.
I do. So there's this Jordan Peterson, the internet father, JP. There's something he says where he says, a father dies twice type of thing, like the figurative and the literal death of a father. I don't know if I'm paraphrasing him properly, but what I got from that lecture I was watching was he was talking about how fathers could die literally, pass away, and sometimes they die with experience. Like your father could only take you so far in life until he gets to a point where he's your friend. I can now talk to my dad, who growing up, all of my friends feared my dad. My dad would be walking from there and everybody would just change the road and just walk, right? Because
Wow.
nobody came to my house to play as much as we did in other people's houses. Because my dad was so like seen around our
Like
place
strict
as
or
the strictest person,
Okay.
or he was just in the house. Now I think about it, there hasn't been a single time that I remember from the times he's disciplined me that has sticks out. I could say 4 times my mom did that.
Yeah.
Like I was so disciplined when I was a kid because I was so rash. I wanted to do a lot, right? But my dad, now that I think about it, he was always just psychologically ahead. He was just he used different tactics, right, mentally,
Yeah.
for me to actually be so scared of my dad. Like, think my dad was like, whenever I was around the house and my dad was around, I was always productive. I was not sitting on my phone and being dumb. I was just going to the garden to work, studying, or just being, well around my father,
Well-behaved.
right? Well behaved, right? My mom, a different thing. So now, back then, I never heard my dad talk jokes. His friends would come at night, they would talk, and I didn't get it, right? Their dynamics. Now that I grow, when I talk to my dad, I realize he's so funny. And like, we relate on so many things that whenever he calls me, he's so happy that he's calling me because he could see a lot of things I've picked up from him and our similarities. And I'm happy that he's actually there for me now, even that I'm an adult, right? I could just talk to him as my friend too.
Yeah.
In that sense, I'm a friend to my dad too, I guess. And
It's a great
so
dynamic.
nice that now he hasn't gone to school in Canada. So sometimes he just tells me, sorry, I don't really, you know what I mean? Like, he's not telling me any specific things because it's figuratively, he can't be my father anymore in that sense. Because I have to seek out a mentor in a specific thing I need.
Yeah.
For-
Because he hasn't experienced what you're specifically
He
experiencing.
could only guide me generally and be there for me. Just like now I have to be there for him just above being just a kid. I
Yeah.
can't be
Yeah.
too needy and like at this moment just want everything from my dad. But be a man now. Like support him, talk to him, like listen to him as a person, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't like I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying talking to my dad and realizing he's not a superhero. He's actually a human being.
Yeah.
He feels bad or good or stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. How did I get into this? Your talk.
No, that was good.
Your
That was a
parents.
good
He
spiel.
calls me friend.
I am a
it.
friend of that.
Yeah.
My dad.
So,
Trio?
Your trios. You sing too. Like
Will
one thing I forgot was that I used to see you in freshman year or something where you would have these songs with 2 other people, a black guy playing piano. I don't know.
Oh, it was me, Naomi, and Iani.
Oh yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
not Iani. There's somebody else from Toronto. I know Iani.
Oh, Emily and Evans.
yeah, they're your other
Yeah,
friends, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, they used to sing here too. Oh, one thing when I was going through your social media, one thing that I really liked was Anna's alphabet.
I have to finish that. I'm on letter Q.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of anything for Q.
Q. Ooh. P.
Oh, that's
Q,
so
P.
good. Question.
P is podcast.
That's a good one. Okay.
Q is Q Quest. What were you here for Q?
Quest is a C.
That's a C.
Oh my days.
What is it? Canadian
Quest.
University Experience. Wait, no, that's not right.
Oh, Quest.
Wait.
Quest for Q's. Like,
Yeah, we could do questions. Yeah.
Or like dress really well for Sabbath and be like Queen. Like, not too like.
Yeah, but that was a fun project. I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Is it like a reoccurring project?
Yeah, I try to do it every summer, but then it stopped at Q, and I haven't made anything since.
Tough.
I gotta finish it because I'm almost done.
Oh.
Almost
yeah.
done for 2023.
True. Yeah.
Oh
We're.
shoot, that's so long.
that is still a
That's a
little bit.
lot.
What do you do on your free time? What are things you do?
Yeah, so I actually really started getting into listening to podcasts,
Oh.
reading more books. I used to hate reading
Yeah.
just because
Oh.
Outside class.
I find that I'm more of a visual learner in general, and I would much rather watch a documentary than read a book about it because I want to see
Okay.
what's actually happening. Yeah, I like the whole imagination thing, but if someone else has already created it, I'm like, so be it, right? But I've started to get into podcasts more and books once again. So if you guys
Who
want
do
any
you like listening
suggestions,
to?
so there's one that I really got into called Why They Did That.
I love that one. It's so,
so
fire.
good.
Plug.
It's so good. It's just
Plug.
like It's sponsored and it's hosted by Weimar Academy in California. And the guy that runs it, he just gets a bunch of guest speakers, like Doug Batchelor has been on there. He gets students on there, other people that are staff at Weimar, and then other guest speakers from everywhere. And
what is Weimar?
Weimar is an Adventist high school and university in Northern California. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really, really good. Yeah, I think our time's probably way up.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
What are we at, actually? I feel like we've been here
an
for
hour.
hours, 18 minutes.
So
How
we're
long have we
exactly
been
2
here?
hours.
To wrap.
2 hours?
Since we started recording. Wait,
Oh.
let's finish first. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
think, So podcasts and books.
Yeah. So what's the book you recommend?
Redeeming Your Time by Jordan Rayner. Really, really good. And yeah. Okay.
Well, we have been talking for
We have been-
2 hours.
We have been yapping.
and
Professional.
15
Big yapping.
Professionally.
But it was
And
fun.
spiritually.
Yeah.
Spiritual yapping.
It was so fun that it went by so fast.
That that was over 2 hours actually.
Yeah,
because
it
we
was 2 hours, 15 minutes, something like that.
Well,
Oh my
like the
goodness.
recording's at 2 hours, 19 minutes.
Yeah, but
That's wild.
we were talking before the record.
Wow.
Yeah. I think there was like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's just 2 hours and 10 somewhere.
Okay, so
The longest.
this podcast, its purpose is it's a platform.
We have to end properly. We have an ending routine.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
do it.
Well, let's do two things.
Let's do it.
So, all right. So the purpose of this podcast is to educate, right? I mean, you being mentored of probably lots by Eric Raja, right, to a certain degree, and
Other people.
be given opportunities to experience and kind of walk in their shoes by learning from them. That was our main goal, right? To educate and to give a platform for people to speak on their experience so that we can learn, right? So what would be, I think, okay, let me word this properly. What would be your best advice for the people who are watching?
Yeah. I always like turning things into a spiritual sense, so I'm going to do something spiritual.
Okay.
One of the biggest tips that I have been applying and has drastically changed the way that I live is to work from the Sabbath, not towards it. So when I first heard that, I was like, isn't that the same thing? What does that even mean? So if we actually break that down, to work from the Sabbath, okay, let's start the other way. To work towards the Sabbath means you are constantly on the grind during the week.
Yeah.
You are just trying to get through the 24 hours, through the next day, finish that test, and you're like, man, I cannot wait till it's Sabbath. I am so drained. I just need to get to the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Whereas if you work from the Sabbath, you practice the Sabbath so well, you rest, you spend time with God, that you are so filled. That fulfillment that you get from the Sabbath spills over
The week.
into the whole week.
Yeah.
And you are just so empowered by that Sabbath you just experienced
Yeah.
that you have that energy to go through the next 6 days.
Yeah.
And by the time you know it, it's the Sabbath again.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
you're not working towards it anymore.
Yeah.
You are working from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What are 3 things you're grateful for?
3
Yo.
things I'm grateful for. I love being back at Burman, number
Yeah.
1. I love this place. It's a great place, great people. Yeah, it has its ups and downs, but overall, I
Nice.
have a huge love for Burman. Number 2, I would say I'm just really grateful that God has begun to really give me clarity as to what my life is going to look like.
Yeah.
Like 3 weeks ago, before I started these interviews, no idea where I was headed.
Yeah.
And it's scary,
Yeah.
but I put my trust in God, and
Yeah.
He's beginning to show me where the path is for what's next. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is an opportunity to just talk with you guys. Like, this is awesome.
Okay.
I really loved being here.
Wow.
The time really did fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
we ultimately don't really, I wouldn't say care, but time, as long as we're having the conversation, because whoever's gonna watch it will watch it either way, and they could watch it over a long period of time.
Yeah.
But this is a very good conversation we've had at this moment, this day, that we will look back on from time, you know.
Hopefully we can have many more.
Yeah, many
like
more
that.
when
I
you
like that.
graduate at the end of the year,
Yeah.
probably, you know.
I'll be in Alberta.
That's gonna be
so.
I'll have to hit you up
yeah.
and be like,
Maybe after
Yeah, come
we could
visit
come
me.
to your like workplace or
Oh,
apartment
yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd
I'll
be
have
cool.
to get some proper clothes, bro. Like,
No, it's okay.
Nah.
We're chilling. We're
Not,
chilling.
we're not bringing you, bro. Homeless.
I know. We need the full body frame.
So, yeah. Well,
Thank you,
guys,
This is awesome.
thank you, Anna.
No, thank you, Abel.
you
And
very
thank you,
much.
Manny. And thank you, Josh. Thank
Elma.
you.
Mr. Producer.
Can we
Yes,
put it in
sir.
the video?
Yeah.
yeah, we have a camera actually. Boom. Yeah, it's only
That
30
one's-
Okay.
Well, guys, until the next time, which is next week.
Yes, sir. It was nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
do it. Do it.
Oh, that's
yeah.
the outro. I love that.
Yeah. See you.
Bye.
So useless.
Wow.